for life. So I just wonder what the pings are coming out there for.
Maybe indicating there were perhaps some wards around there, which there weren't.
Oh, right.
Oh, there actually is.
Yeah,
there is the Knoxford
that's
ward
true.
there.
So maybe they're fully aware of the vision control that the red team has. And certainly looking at, let's just take a check at the order. It's massively in favour of Oxford.
Absolutely.
Despite the lack of map pressure they've had and the losses in the lanes, they've got really good presence in this bot jungle.
And throughout the river, actually.
And having this vision is allowing them to make some fairly sensible plays around the rotations of Cambridge. And against this team that is rotating more, I think it's exactly the right call.
I think it is the right call, and it allows them to stall more because they can't walk into any traps or anything. Cambridge would be potentially looking for a kind of pick on the Vayne or the Hecarim in order to be able to push down some more towers.
Stalling, I think, is pretty much just exactly what's going on here. They know about the size in gold lead, and they're just going to hold out. And yeah, as I said, Deviri is going straight for that last Whisper. He's not perhaps going for a Blade of the Infinity Edge. Sorry. And perhaps that's also, it gets them to that power spike faster. They are behind. He needs to get in a position to get into the team fights as quickly as possible. But do you think that perhaps you should go for a BF sword item?
Looking at the itemization of the Aurelia and the Sejuani now, I completely agree with the last Whisper choice. It is an attempt to kind of break through that Warden's Mail and the Frozen Heart on the Aurelia.
Meanwhile here, they're desperately trying to stave off this enormous wave. The blue team push up. Quad Cannon goes in, instantly melts Deviri, and that's why
the Glacial Prison onto 3 players goes straight down.
And in comes the Wombo combo. It's 3v5 anyway. Clymore teleports in at the last moment, but I don't know what he can achieve here. Yeah, he's instantly exhausted, which of course removes a huge amount of that extra damage from the passive. Masneri K going in right under the tower, desperate for the kill, but he's taken a huge chunk of damage. His armor's shredded right down too. Clymore maybe thinking he can get the kill, but he's gone far too deep. And Carniflexin may just be able to pick this up. Clymore's able to back away with the sustain from the Crystalline Flask.
That was a huge play from Quad Cannon there, jumping in.
Yeah, absolutely massive. And this is going to be the difficulty for them for the whole game. How do you protect this Vayne against the dive of LeBlanc, the dive of Sejuani, the dive of Aurelia? They just don't have the tools to peel it away.
I think Vayne needs a Banshee's Veil or certainly a Quicksilver Sash in next item.
Sash must come out straight away for Deviri, or they're not going to be able to take late game team fights. And as soon as they have it, I'll be looking for them to group up and actually try and take some fights. Because Clymore now, he's got his Spirit Visage and his Frozen Heart, so the Hecarim's now reached the point where he's tanky enough to to be able to do something in these fights. You've got the Frozen Heart and the Juggernaut onto Nunu. A bit more, another Giant Spell item would help, but Subfust can also now join in these fights. The Lulu is not as far ahead as they'd like, and perhaps going there for a Luden's Echo from the other Wisp.
Yes, potentially.
But they are so close to the point where they can start to take some of these fights, and they just want to avoid silly mistakes like that. Don't get caught. Just try and scale up in peace.
Interestingly, the Severe has not itemized towards the last Whisper yet. It's going for a Bloodthirster.
That's an interesting choice, but since their team fight relies so heavily on Vayne, I perhaps wouldn't rush it unless Vayne builds a Frozen Heart, which is unlikely.
Yeah, definitely. I think Urgot being the only AD carry that does build Frozen Heart.
They have, all their engage tools can be turned against this Hecarim. They've also got the Exhaust. That's a huge chunk of damage going to Carniflex, and the Spirit of Dread as well. And he's pretty much one-shot by Clymore. He's now forced, though, to dodge away from Masneri K. He's running all the way into the base. I don't know how Clymore's going to escape from this. But the pony gallops away around the inhibitor, and Masneri K is forced to give up on that one. Meanwhile, here in the mid lane, they are successfully able to disengage that fight. And in the end, it's a 1-0 with Carniflexin going down again. And Carniflexin is 2, 6, and 10. They're really abusing this squishy Sivir.
Absolutely, they're definitely trying to put the pressure on him, trying to make him tilt.
And a lot of those kills are coming from Clymore, who is now actually out-killing Masneri K despite the farm differential.
Yeah, one thing interesting is that Carniflexin did manage to spell shield the Hecarim.
And that's a very clutch flash from Subfust, just about avoiding the Sejuani. Oh, that was a very dead Nunu. Quad Cannon keeps going. What was Subfust doing waiting around? And he pays for his mysterious decision to hang around with his life. What do you think is going on there?
I think perhaps he's going to go for the Empire 5-man Nunu ulti.
Straight out of the brush. Unfortunately, there was no one there to back him up except Brawl. But, Nunu Brown, they've got tons of damage, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Hyper-carries.
Brow, it's actually, we think Vayne's the Hyper-carry. You got it all wrong, it's Brow. Clymore eats a chain, and he does take a huge chunk of damage as well. That LeBlanc is hitting so hard with that death kill.
Oh,
that's a massive 4-man Glacial Prison.
Followed by Tibbers straight away.
There's just absolutely no way out of this team fight for the red team. All of the CC goes off. Face of the Mountain comes onto Ice Fight, just keeping alive for the last minute. Lucy's really low, and the kill does go over to double Sexy Sero. And they're able to actually disengage this as just a 1-for-1. And looking at the blinking health bars, Cambridge perhaps come out of this. Where Clymore, though, Quad Cannon makes a terrible decision to go back in on the Hecarim and pays for it with his life. And what does that open up on the map?
I think it opens up the possibility of stalling, maybe kind of warding out Baron. But I think Quad Cannon wasn't actually going for the kill. He was just trying to get a bit of vision. There was actually no ward in the bush, so he couldn't have possibly known that Hecarim was there.
Mazurike is pretty low here, but he's going to go in on Climore. She's got the ult to sustain. Gets a lot of damage onto Climore, but he's able to dodge much of it. And Deviri's there to pull down the DPS and take the kill.
I think Cambridge is getting a bit
desperate. That's another kill on for
now.
the Vayne. Well, as Cambridge, look at the time. It's 34 minutes. You know, if this game goes on for another 5 minutes, the scales, you know, the longer it goes, the stronger that Vayne gets.
Absolutely.
They're tipping. And, you know, the late game tanky Hecarim combined with the Vayne is a pretty big problem for them. So that's Climore here in the top lane, just taking a bit of farm, and he's going to go back to base. Let's take a look at the gold counts. Yeah, Climore has a big stack of gold to spend, and he's actually now overtaken Masnari K on gold with all of those kills and assists.
Yeah, and the shutdown, of course.
And Akawan's really caught Harry in the mid lane. Managed, though, to get a fantastic double stun with his W. It's caught up again, though, by the Braum, and that's going to be a dead Annie. Meanwhile, Lustlake is still there. Subfust desperately trying to get Quad Cannon, goes right in, trying to pick out the Vayne, but isn't able to land the damage on her. And they are just going to disengage safely. Have you noticed the kill pot participation of Climore? Enormous. 70. He's got one of the highest kill participations on the map. Even higher than Quad Cannon, who's 12.55.
That's not higher than Quad Cannon.
They've got fewer kills.
Okay, fair enough. But I can't work out that percentage.
No, I can't work out on the fly. It might be about the same.
I do music, not math. Sorry.
Yeah, same. We're both music students. Masnari K here, just going to get the Scuttle Crab, get a bit of river control. They do catch a glimpse of Climore. It looks like he wants to go in. Of course he wants to go in. Climore always wants to go in. But
Cambridge starting the Baron here.
Crab, here's a Baron attempt for Cambridge.
I think this is
They haven't spotted the ward in the back. This could be a massive mistake. In comes Climore. He finds Quad Cannon, takes the chain, but he's able to charge in just before. Akon stuns him, but meanwhile the Baron's being DPS'd all the time. It's still going pretty low. Icefly is there to try and maybe steal it, but takes a very unlucky bit of Baron aggro, not able to get the steal. And I have no idea why Red Team didn't charge in and challenge it.
Sivir tries to engage.
And that's a massive Spirit of Dread right into the middle. They're desperately trying to kill the Carniflexen, but he's able to spell shield the Snowball. Icefly taking huge amounts of damage. Meanwhile, on the backline, Deviri goes down to Aurelia. Carniflexen picks up Icefly. Climore goes down as well, this time to Lushlake. Subfusk is able to return a kill over onto Masnari K, but he's forced to run away now. He's eaten an Ethereal Chain, but he's able to break free. Consumes a Wraith just to try and escape. But that's actually a 3-for-1 in favour of Cambridge.
Along with the Baron buff, which is going to be huge, and they're going to be looking to push in these next.
This has got to be an inhibitor.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think they're moving down the mid lane. Masnaric does have teleport up, so when he's up I would assume he would either teleport to support them or just move to the top lane and begin to split push with that Baron buff again.
I mean, remember of course that Carniflexen was doing such work on that tower earlier in the game, taking advantage of the fact they could take those 4v4s, and that's how that tower comes down so quickly. And you know, tapped ages ago, but he's pretty much set up in here for them.
Set it up for himself. It was very good, and also his positioning in the team fight there was absolutely fantastic. Managed to flash out of a lot of the spells. Nunu does get caught
in
here.
A whole world of trouble against 3, but somehow they don't want to invest the spells onto them. The ultimates are still down. Not worth it for a pick onto the one Nunu. They'll just get the blue buff and back away. And probably get some vision of the Dragon area. But Climore is coming in here. 3v1. This is very ballsy. That's a flash in from Brown to try and get into the fight too. Subfusk is there too. Masnaric tries to come in from the side, but he's actually just out of position. So close to landing, but he does just miss it. And that's a very, very ballsy play from them. Not able to convert it. Subfusk takes a bit of damage, but LeBlanc's not really able to punish it. Quad Cannon, though, gets topped up. Able to dash over the wall just before the final auto attack comes through for the stun, and Quad Cannon is going to escape with his life. That pink ward is not long for this world, meanwhile.
I think this is Oxford trying to out-rotate Cambridge here, really trying to get the picks onto them while they can.
Quad Cannon goes in,
huge
double sexy Zero simply disappears. Masnaric stunned up, but Subfusk is solo. That's a triple stun. Subfusk is killed before he can barely channel the ultimate Zero. Deviri desperately trying to kite backwards and do what he can, but there's just too much damage, and Deviri goes down straight away, and now it's left to Climore to try and escape. Takes the stun from the equalizing strike, takes another stun from the Annie. Quad Cannon jumps in to finish it, and that kill actually goes over to Masnaric, and that's an ace for Cambridge.
This is very huge right now. I think they will be...
Is that quite possibly GG?
I don't know. I don't think they can make it.
They've got a very deep wave in the mid lane. Look, they've got supers onto the Nexus. I think Cambridge could end it here.
I think because of the fight being so spread out, we've got Lulu and Nunu spawning already. And that means they're not going to be able to take the Nexus turrets perhaps, but they will be getting this bot turret. Carniflexen trying to prep it up there.
Carnifex and just taking a little bit of tower damage there. I'm not sure that's necessary. The Lulu speeding out the base with home guards, but only to be welcomed by Quad Cannon, who tries to lay down some damage, and Lulu actually ults herself. So that's a very important cooldown gone straight away, and with that they'll get the turret. Subfus gets caught by the turret, everyone dives on him. Goodbye, Nunu. Here goes the here goes the inhibitor as well.
They've got a 2-player advantage. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they try and force this now.
And that's with 2 inhibs down. 3v5, minions pouring into the base. There's nothing Deviri can do here. Claymore does come in to try and save the game, gets a 4-man twister, Spirit of Dread, but it isn't really enough. They're able to just kite backwards, and they're also tanky. That's a 3-man Tibber stun coming in as well. Deviri gets a kill onto Akawon, but Icefly goes down too. Leshake jumps through Palo and goes down to Masneri K as well. Carniflexin taking a lot of damage, but is able to pick up the ace.
And I think that's game for Cambridge.
That is game 1 of this best of 3 series, going over to Cambridge. Well, how did that one go wrong?
I don't think it went so wrong so much they didn't make it to the end. I think Oxford didn't get as late as they perhaps wanted to be.
Late scaling team comp, and it just didn't get late and scaled.
I think Masneric and Quad Cannon deserve huge mentions in that game. Really great play from them.
Unbelievable shows from Masneric and Quad Cannon there. But let's just take a look at the damage graph.
This isn't actually on the screen now, so
if we just take a look at the damage graph, just to see how, I want to see the influence that Claymore had on that game. Although they lost Hecarim, was able to get quite a bit of disruption across the map, actually. And you look like in the early game they might even carry it just on the force of those ballsy teleports and roams.
Absolutely, and as you can see, actually, Hecarim does have the second highest damage done to champions, and the most done on the Oxford team, even more than that Vayne.
So Claymore there, despite the loss, showing some really, really promising things on the Hecarim. But really, Quad Cannon's damage is just unbelievable. He could pick Deviri or the Lulu, and of course, taking out the Lulu and protect the AD comp is as bad as losing the carry, right?
Or even so much as to force the Lulu to use the ultimate on herself, because that's the spell gone, and that's exactly what happened at the end there. Quad Cannon dives onto the Lulu. Lulu has to blow the ult, and then it's not available for Vayne, which is why Masneric then dove the Nexus turrets to kill the Vayne.
Double Sexy Sari, perhaps not such an experienced Lulu player or higher elo player, and looked very good for a lot of the game, especially in the early lane. Did very, very well against Quad Cannon's LeBlanc. But
held his own, certainly.
You can just see that the lower elo, the less experience, just coming through there at times like the end when he uses the Tangle Growth on himself. I think he probably could have survived it with a Whimsy as well, and instead, Aurelia's just able to change targets straight away and take out Deviri.
Yeah, I think a lot of pressure on these players. There are a few mistakes made in the game.
Yeah, I mean the Cambridge
situation.
really handed Oxford some easy kills in the early game.
Absolutely, those 2 to Hecarim at the very start.
They just weren't expecting Hecarim.
And of course, Lulu did escape very early on from the LeBlanc. LeBlanc burned the flash, then Hecarim could pick it up. But I think Aurelia did the right thing to push the top lane as well.
It's a really great play from Akawon actually in that game. Caught my, some really good holds on the flashes to keep it open for the engagers. Had a couple of triple Tibber stuns, and they really played that engaged comp very, very well indeed when it came to the team fights. And it went out just as we said. They picked a protect comp and they had all of the tools they needed to give it a lot of problems, and that's exactly what happened. So going into game 2, what are the teams looking to change up? How can Oxford come back here to stop this series being a 2-0 whitewash?
I think they have to react to the mid lane pick and to the top lane pick. I think the jungle is going to need to pressure a lot more. We didn't see a lot of Nunu in the early game. We go straight into game 2 now, of course.
I think Subfus did play that Nunu pick reasonably well, and I would not be surprised if the Nunu comes out again. The vision control particularly was amazing from Subfus. They had so much vision on the bottom jungle, and that really sort of helped to give them the opportunities to make those kills.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking for Cambridge to take the Hecarim away from Oxford.
That's the Katarina ban again coming out from blue team. And yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Hecarim ban. Let's see what it comes out here from the purple team. Oh, stream's in for a free resolution. Oh, here we've got a few resolution problems with the stream. We're just going to sort those out. Meanwhile, the first ban has come through from purple team, and it's another Vi ban. And again, that chaotic early game presence. Perhaps they just don't want to hand it over. Maybe my OPGG scouting hasn't been good enough, and this is actually a really big champion for Subfusk as well. So they do take the Vi again, and the ban's going, the LeBlanc ban coming out. I think that's pretty sensible after seeing what Quad Cannon could do on it. They don't want another 15-2-5 adventure at the hands of this LeBlanc. And Holmes is just going to go and sort out that aspect ratio problem. So you'll just level with me for picks and bans, but don't worry, I'll do my best. And that's the second ban came out, and it's the Morgana ban. So we've got almost identical bans to last game. And again, you know, that Morgana has a lot of early presence, provides good picking opportunities, a lot of utility in protecting yourself against those engaged comps, which we just saw them run so successfully. And there's almost no reaction, in fact, to the comp of last game by the blue team, unless they look to pick away the Sejuani. Although I don't think Subfusk actually plays the Sej. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Sejuani ban now. And let's see what it is. They've got 1 second left to register the ban. And yes, the Sejuani ban does come in. So they're looking there to try and curb some of the hard engaged potential of game 1 that really screwed them when they ran that Deviri focused comp. And let's see what the final ban here from the purple team is coming in. There's not an Aurelia or a Hecarim ban, so at least one of those top laners is going to be first picked for Clymore. You have to think with the impact he was able to have on it in the early game. Although he played a good Hecarim, he's actually an Aurelia main. So that pick is definitely going to be picked up as well if they do take the Hecarim out here. It's actually the Lulu ban, so they want to stop them picking that Deviri, going for that Deviri comp, and Clymore goes for his Aurelia straight away. I think there was no hesitation on his mind for that. So we're going to see the same top lane matchup, but the other way around. Is Clymore's Aurelia better than his Hecarim, and vice versa? We'll have to see. Clearly these two top laners are birds of the same feather. And let's see which bird is the better bird. Meanwhile, it's the Gragas pick coming out for Lushlake on the jungle. And Gragas is a very strong jungler in the current meta. He offers lots of CC, good AP damage, balancing out a lot of the heavy AD comps now with a lot of AD top laners kicking out, like the Hecarim. Fantastic engage, those flash body slams. Yeah, so although they've lost the Sejuani, they've got the next best thing. They've got the Gragas. It provides a lot of the same stuff as the Sej. Not quite the same engage, not quite the same tankiness, but a bit more damage. And I'm certain that Lushlake is going to be able to do some work with this. So we've got the picks now coming in. I think that they're going to be possibly trying to get an ADC pick here. Sivir, not a big priority for Deviri, but Carniflexin was relatively okay on it. Perhaps not a pick, but there's the Orianna pick coming in for the mid lane. And that does give them a huge amount of late game damage. Quite a lot of utility. She is a utility control mage. And of course, she's able to shield and support the AD carry, and Deviri is such an important part of this Oxford team. So overall, that could be a good pick if it stands. We still don't know what the other pick is, though. I wonder if they're going to take a mid laner here. No, sorry, another. They've gone for the support Nami. Now, that's not a pick that you're seeing often in the current meta. You're getting a lot of tanky supports and junglers. And right now, this team is kind of squishy. The Nami, of course, provides great lockdown CC, fantastic early trading damage, especially if your auto attacks are not so good, you know, with the Tidecaller's Blessing. So we'll be interested to see what carry they pick to support here with the Nami. And that's the Syndra pick coming in for the mid lane. It's a relatively decent pick against the Orianna. She can stun her from range. She's got all the tools to stay away from the ball and still farm quite safely. And Syndra, of course, as well, has that massive teamfight presence. So again, it looks like Cambridge are going down the route here of a very heavy teamfight team. And they're also trying to take advantage of the counter picks they've been offered here by being on the red side. And that's a Janna pick coming out now for Cambridge. So they're looking for some disengage to go with the really strong engage of the Gragas, the picking of the Syndra, the engage of the Hecarim. And I guess it just gives them a well-rounded team comp. They've got a bit of everything here, and it gives them an awful lot of freedom as well with the ADC picks. Deviri hovering on the Draven. I really hope he picks it. Especially with the Nami, there's a huge amount of early kill pressure in that lane, and it might be that Deviri feels he's got Carniflexin's number after that last game. They can bury that bot lane early. Switches to Caitlyn, but again, that's another strong early carry. And Deviri, I think, definitely here is going for the early ranging. Particularly Janna really struggles with that Caitlyn. And it could be a strong pick. And Ice Fly's Nunu coming out again, as we thought might happen. And he showed up very well on that champion. Good vision control. So this is quite a utility-focused team coming out from Oxford. But where's the tankiness? Homsey. Talk to me, Homsey.
I'm back. I'm trying to work out what's
Hopefully
going
the
on.
stream is now sparkling and beautiful and wonderful.
I'm afraid it's not. We haven't managed to actually rectify the stream. For some reason, the resolution is lying about what it actually is. So you're going to have to make do with that. When we get into game, obviously, it will be back to the sparkling.
And the last pick coming out there is the Jinx, and of course Janna Jinx, very strong lane. Jinx has excellent late game carrying, and if Caitlyn isn't able to bury that lane early, then it's not until 6 items that Deviri's going to be able to offer anything in team fights versus Carniflex, and he has a great 3-item power spike.
Absolutely, and Jinx is a big champion of Carniflex, and they've actually been playing this lane, I know for a fact. taking the Gragas jungle there onto Lustlek, which is
Well, the Sejuani was banned, as I was saying, so it's the next best thing.
it is the next best thing. Yeah,
More
absolutely.
damage, a little bit less tankiness, a little bit less engage. But
Maybe even slightly better for getting picks though in team fights than for disengage.
and they've got the Syndra, and they've got the Jinx as well, so this is a team that can really, really get some picks.
Absolutely,
And maybe they're looking to punish those slightly ham rotations.
I like that the top laners have swapped roles there.
Yes.
We'll see if either of them can have as big an impact.
Yeah, I was talking about it's an interesting situation that Kevin's main is actually Aurelia. So as soon as the Aurelia ban didn't come in, I think it was fairly certain that was going to be insta-locked by Clymore, and it was, which leaves the Hecarim open again. So we'll see if that matchup goes differently. Who do you think it's in favour of? Just in terms of the champions, that factoring in the abilities of the players.
In terms of champions, I think Hecarim is more useful to a team. Aurealia's going to have a laning advantage, I think. But Hecarim is much more useful for diving the back line, for causing chaos, literally. Especially against a team with like an Orianna and a Caitlyn. I mean, it's a very defensive-based team that Oxford have gone for this time, essentially.
On the other hand, how are they going to protect that Jinx? They haven't really got any tools to do it except the Janna. Aurelia can blade surge onto her, could get caught in a shockwave. Subfusk has got the snowballs. Icefly has her ultimate, and it's got the wave and the bubble stun. They've got a lot of tools here to pick out that Jinx and stop her being able to carry the fights.
Absolutely, although Cambridge's disengage is a lot better, and we have to remember that Aurelia is the only real one that can be diving the back line.
Well, Nunu could Blood Boil himself and run him. Nunu can Blood Boil himself and Aurelia, so the two of them could form quite a nice two-man dive squad. With the latest changes.
Yeah, I'm not sure they buffed Blood Boil that much, but...
They've changed Blood Boil so you can Blood Boil other people, and then coming in patch 5.8, if you Blood Boil yourself, you automatically Blood Boil the nearest allied champion as well.
I always thought you could Blood Boil someone else.
Sorry, he can Blood Boil himself now. I don't know what it is. So basically, he can Blood Boil both himself and an allied champion. They made the same change. They made the same change to the Mordekaiser shield. The issue was that players were still shielding themselves and not shielding an ally when they could shield an ally and themselves. Yeah. So it wasn't an increase in their overall power level to make the change that it would just happen automatically, which is what Riot have done now. But it does save your button input.
Absolutely.
Makes it a little bit easier to play in those chaotic team fights.
And Nunu Caitlyn, I'm going to expect Nunu to be coming to the bot lane because it's a huge pushing force early in the game.
On the other hand, they've got some great disengage tools. The snowball, they've got distortion. Deveri can always use the net to get away.
Yeah.
Iceflyer has the wave, the bubble stun, so I think they will be able to protect this Caitlyn.
I think that Deveri does have an advantage on Carniflex and in terms of mobility, just because that's how the Jinx Caitlyn lane works.
So do you think that Cambridge are going to lane swap this just to try and get Jinx out of that bad matchup?
I think
There's so much kill pressure on that.
I think that Janna is the attempt to get out of that. Janna's got brilliant disengage and provides Jinx with, great damage boost as well as some protection.
But the Janna, of course, is very vulnerable to the Caitlyn pick. The Caitlyn pick coming in after the Janna pick. So Oxford are fully aware what they have to face there in the bot lane, and they feel they can take it. So we're just a few seconds out from getting into game, and I'll be excited to see how this one turns out, especially the top lane matchup. I think is going to be super aggressive from the bat.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's round 2, really.
Yeah. Last time they went at it quite hard. I think perhaps the edge in jungle help really went to Masneric, but they both outplayed each other at times. And perhaps Clymore more impressively so, because he was usually behind on gold when he managed it, and he ended up pulling ahead on gold and doing by far the most damage on his team. And now everyone in Twitch chat is going to be spamming by far.
Absolutely. I've not actually seen the Twitch chat, but...
It was mostly full of people complaining about the technical difficulties.
Oh, of course. Was that
of
the
which
players
there have
or the
been
viewers?
absolutely none.
Oh, of course not.
It's been a flawless day of technology and management.
I think it's been organised well. I just think we've been unlucky with what's going on.
So unlucky, like the CPU cooler not being screwed on properly on a motherboard.
Yeah.
Like, what? When does that happen?
You see the items being bought, all of them ready to dash out at the start. Oxford now on the blue side.
A Doran's Blade coming out from Clymore. That's a very aggressive opening item on Aurelia.
It is.
It's not going to do much, I think, against the Crystalline Flask of Masneri K. So we're going to see this time if we get the big 5-on-5 team fight in the deep wars that we were hoping for. I think perhaps a lane swap's even more likely this game than last game, just to try and get Jinx on a favourable terms and get as much farm as she can. But at the moment they are both heading towards the bot lane. Now there is a bit of a group up going on here in mid. Let's see, they're going in. I think they're trying to get some vision in the jungle. They don't go that far in the end, and it is going to spawn out Subfusk, but I don't really think that hands them much of an advantage. Meanwhile here, Carniflex joins them too, so they've now got 4 here in the lower mid.
They are spotted out by that ward in the river brush.
Masneri K just hovering out, nice skin, Masneri, pony on duty. And Clymore is just hovering here in the brush as well, just hoping to spot out.
Defensive starts again from both teams.
They're not willing to do anything too risky. Yes, the pressure of the event, maybe.
Absolutely.
Although I don't think that was holding Clymore back too much last game.
No, of course not. I think he felt a lot of pressure there in himself to make the plays, and so once he got the kills, he felt he really had to be getting more and racking them up and closing it out.
Yeah, they're even running each other's summers.
They are. It's the disparity in the starting items that.
Does Ignite reduce the heal from the Transcendent Blades?
Yes.
So that'll be a big factor in their 1v1 then. Like at what point the Ignite comes out, and whether they can negate that heal. Because without an Ignite, that ultimate is Clymore's edge in those intense 1v1s.
And the Doran's Blades are staying as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The lifesteal, 3% lifesteal early on.
Which over a long lane will be more effective, though the potion's not. Trades going on in the mid lane here. Gromp going over.
Carniflex and Echoan helping Luslate quickly with the Gromp. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, do they start? Oh, no, they didn't start on the Krugs. Icefly go up here into the brush, hoping for an early stun. No, it goes for Churn the Waters. Get some good damage onto the Janna, and Janna taking a huge amount of damage here early on.
Hecarim has started at Raze, will be teleporting back to lane now. He takes a pink ward and some potions to sustain him up.
Whoa, there's a big trade going on in the mid lane. Double Sexy Sarah and Cod Cannon both looking pretty low. And it's somewhat like last time. Double Sexy Sarah not afraid to trade early, and often coming out at least even on those trades.
Absolutely not. And I mean, you see he's got the level 2 advantage there. He early pushed it so he could get a bit of harass off.
Devery just drops back a bit. Janna's able to tough out some of the poke. And this isn't going so badly, but they are being pushed right in.
And Oxford bot lane has now hit level 2. Irelia playing quite safe here in this top lane.
Up here in the top lane. Things not being quite as exciting as we hoped.
The red buff steal goes across the Nunu.
Early red steal, and they've got no idea. Luslate heads over, but by the time he gets there, it's going to be far too late. And they've just left him.
Bubble lands onto Jinx in the bot lane, I think.
They've just left him once more, yes. But the Chompers land onto Devery. Carniflex in very low, and there's not many more trades he can take like that before he has to recall.
No, not at all. And this is the sheer early game advantage of Caitlyn.
Devery's already managed to build up a wave of CS over Carniflex here. So this is the Caitlyn pick working out exactly as hoped. Clymore pushed all the way in. This is a reverse of the matchup last time, remember. It was Clymore who was pushed all the way in on Hecarim last time. But that does open Masneri K for an early gank, and you have to wonder if Nunu's going to target that at some point. Nunu is taking the red buff on his own side now, so we are going to have a 3 buff start. Meanwhile, over here in the bot lane, they've pushed it all the way up to the tower, and this is going to be some CS starting to go. Unless, there's a couple being missed now. Devery just steps into range and takes a tower hit. That's probably something he wouldn't have wanted to do. Meanwhile, here in the mid lane, Double Sexy Sarah is shoved all the way under his tower again. The farm is a little bit in favour of Cod Candy, but it's
about 4, an edge of about 4.
Masneri K jumping in on Clymore. He's pretty low. He's got an ultimate. The Ignite goes down and the cleave. That's probably... Whoa! That's a huge outplay from Clymore. Taking advantage there of the equalising strike to land the stun and get the tower hit.
Interestingly, almost a repeat of what happened last game at level 6.
Yeah, the early pick. And there is Clymore's mastery of Aurelia coming in. Don't forget that this guy is an Aurelia main. Has been for several seasons and absolutely loves going really ham on this champion. And just, there's no concept of a fight he won't take. We played with him. He'll run into 1v3s.
Gragas
flash body slam onto Icefly. Yeah. Icefly goes super low, but the Howling Gale misses. Aquan not able there to just get the last bit of CC required onto Icefly. There's another body slam coming in from Luslate. Desperate to come in here and maybe get the kill on Devery, but they stay there to try and kite him out. Takes a barrel, but it's not going to do much. The Howling Gale does land, but there's a flash in there from Icefly. So from Subfusk. Subfusk gets the snowball onto Aquan.
I can't help but think that might have been a misclick there.
I think it probably was.
I think the gank going wrong there was due to the fact that Carniflex
goes super low. But instead, Devery loses out on the trade, and that's an early kill going over to Luslate.
I think Devery getting a bit aggressive. Again, they're
Clymore
fighting in the top
going
lane.
super low. He's possibly in trouble here. He's going to keep fighting it. This could be super close, and Clymore gets another outplay on Masneric. Clymore absolutely dominating the top lane there on Aurelia. Meanwhile, here in the bot lane, they are probably going to respond by trying to shove it onto this tower. Clymore taking advantage. He's got level 6, sustained up straight away, shoved the wave all the way into tower, and that's going to be a lot of CC being lost from Masneri K unless he teleports. It's down.
Yeah, that's a huge victory in the top lane. I'd say that was probably won.
And Subfuss doing even more counter jungling. This time he's helping himself to the walls, and Subfuss already is getting right in Lustlak's face.
Having a much bigger impact this game on the counter jungling than he did last game, which I don't actually think he did at all.
Well, last game he didn't really take advantage of Lustlak's aggressive jungling style. He picks the Sedge, picks the Gragas to go in and try and make the plays, but this time he's taking advantage of the fact that Lustlake is spending so much time running around and trying to get to lanes to go in and take the farm. So Akawan and Carniflexin do return to the bot lane.
Irelia goes for the early Sheen. He's going to be looking for even more fights onto Masneric.
And got a Ruby Crystal as well. That's just a bit of tankiness.
And a 2-level advantage, actually.
It's been pretty close, those fights with Masneric. Double sexy. Sorry, eats a stun, but he's able to just tough that one through. Masneric clearly at a disadvantage here. It's a huge amount of damage from that Blade Surge. And Clymore has this top lane on lockdown, I think. Unless Lustlake is able to come up there and get some work done, they're not going to get much out of Masneric for now.
Although he is up there, Lustlake now. Is he spotted by a ward there? I can't quite see. Oh, he's going to come in.
Oh no, Kevin takes the kill. Clymore gets the kill anyway. Doesn't care, but Lustlake doesn't have time to get in. I guess that's the way to defeat a gank, isn't it?
Yeah, and Lustlake actually missed the
kill him before the gank lands. The zap does miss. Deveri's able to dodge that one out. Akawan takes a bit of time. And Clymore's now going in on Lustlake. Now he's getting the Aurelia treatment. And he's supposed to fall back under his tower, but in comes the teleport. Clymore's got to be careful here. Hecarim could charge right in, and this could be a bit difficult. But instead he's able to get away safely. Trading off here in the bot lane. Now the rockets from Jinx are starting to build up the range required to challenge. Quad cannon misses the sun on double sexy, sorry, and that's not going to be a trade opportunity for him. Lustlake getting that pink ward down, taking some vision control there on the top tri-brush. Meanwhile, Clymore, perhaps maybe going to be a bit more passive, has just seen Lustlake there, knows that he might be coming in for another gank. And they are going to pick him up here on the wards, and this will probably trigger Clymore to be able to go a bit ham.
Masneric definitely needs this level 6 now. He really needs to.
It's going to be huge. I just think Clymore wants to go in one more time before it comes down. And instead he's going to back off and just try and deny even more farm here in the top lane, opening up a massive lead over Masneric.
Subfuss going into the jungle yet again, maybe for a blue steal.
He's trying it, but
just warded it. He's warded it.
He's been pinged out by the red team, and he does back off. I don't know what Akawan's going in there for. Subfuss could probably 1v1 him quite capably.
Probably, although the Nunu would probably be able to get the blue buff off that.
And as if startled, Quad Cannon now does come across to secure that blue buff, which they do with a minimum fuss. Although actually the blue buff doesn't go onto
no, it's smited away by the Nunu.
Cannon. The Nunu managed to get the smite. I missed that. He was out of the camera. That's Subfuss with a great smite steal. That's the second big buff he's stolen.
And Aurelia in the top lane gets another kill. I think
Clymore gets another kill on virtually no health. He's now 4-0-0 in this top lane. 4 solo kills on Masneric.
You can't help but feel sorry because he does get away on about 50 HP every time.
Yeah, and I don't know how Clymore does it. I just feel like maybe he's got an extra 50 HP he's hiding up his sleeve for these trades.
It's the Doran's blade.
And somehow all of those edgy trades and risky plays he was going for last game that perhaps just didn't quite go his way.
And now going his way.
Yeah, this game, I don't know whether he's come alive a bit, but this time he's getting those tiny calculations right, and he's really making some great plays here. Subfuss now soloing out the dragon, which you can do pretty easily as needed, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a very easy thing to do. That will be another advantage to Oxford again. The extra attack damage onto Aurelia. And but the tidal wave goes out.
Carniflexin's caught up by it. And that's a huge amount of damage coming in from the Piltover Peacemaker. Carniflexin's forced to flash away. Exhaust burned by both supports, but they're not going to get much out of it. Cero's stunned up. Quad Cannon does return the damage on it, but not tempted to pull the trigger on the ultimate just yet. Meanwhile, Cero dodging even more damage there.
The Crystalline Flask on Cero really keeping him topped up in that lane. There's no way that Syndra's going to be able to get a kill.
And that's Lustlake coming in for a ping on the mid, for a gank on the mid lane, but he's pinged out instantly by the blue team. They've got some really good wards around here in the jungle again, and Subfuss is converting that counter jungling pressure into fantastic vision control. Quad Cannon trying to get the stun onto Double C. That's a fantastic shockwave from Cero.
Teleport coming in.
Quad Cannon's completely
Clymore.
Clymore, though, he's not.
Good disengage from
that's
the Gragas
a great Gragas barrel, and that saves Quad Cannon's life. Clymore's still going for it. Doesn't take a stun, only a knockback. He gets the shield, possibly the speed upgrade as soon as that W comes in. Howling Gale gets both of them. That's a great Howling Gale from Akawan, saving his life there, getting him disengaged. Deveri keeps chasing. Gets the passive off onto Akawan, keeps trading. More damage. Akawan might be in trouble here. If Icefly can get any closer, but they're not going to over-chase it, and they do back off.
I think that failed gank from the Aurelia is very important for the Hecarim because it allows him to farm back up.
Yeah, and he is going for camps to help him do it.
Yeah.
A ward going down here for Lustlake. Akawan and Carniflex in now, starting to push in the bot lane, which we haven't seen.
Yeah, is Jinx maxing the? Yeah, Jinx is maxing her Q there, which is allowing her to clear the waves a lot faster and therefore push Caitlyn in.
Quadcan landing this time. The ult comes out. And double sexy Sero is forced to, but he's got no ultimate to finish the kill, and he's forced to flash away.
Risky plays there from both mid laners.
And neither mid lane is willing to back. They both want the kills, but in comes Subfusk. He's got his flash. Flash Snowball might just get it. Is he going to do it? Yeah, there it goes. And he runs all the way past him. He's trying to go for the style with the smite, and he fails. Subfusk goes for some BM and totally cocks it up. Is this going to be another Oxford team undone by an attempt to BM their opponents?
Yeah, I think it was a very bad idea, and now he's not going to even be able to finish this counter jungling because Gragas is coming through.
I imagine someone's probably just ridden facepalm in all chat.
Oh, absolutely. We should have a separate
Akawan
screen
takes
for
a
the
bubble.
Twitch chat.
Deviri laying down the damage, but Carniflex is there to trade back. Deviri just manages to step over, but nets himself into the
Very
chompers.
questionable netting there. Perhaps he meant to go the other way.
Masneric gets stunned on the tower, but Clymore's really low. He is sitting on the ultimate, perhaps trying to play it now. The ultimate comes out, just preventing the back, helping to keep that tower pushed into the lane for even longer and deny even more farm. Clymore just takes a tower hit. Whoa, Akawan's taken super low by that Piltover pacemaker. If he wasn't going to back, he has to now. Lustlake arrives in the bottom lane to see what he can get done, but he's slowed away by Caitlyn, and he's forced to back off.
Very questionable move there. I'm not sure whether Caitlyn did or didn't have the mana for the ace in the hole there to finish off the Janna.
She hasn't back. Yeah, she's back now, so you can't really see. I could rewind, but we might miss something. Lustlake is just going to sit here in the brush, hoping to get double sexy Sero, but I think they know what's up. Whoa, hops over. It's probably not the ultimate.
Probably not, and I think there's no synergy between those two attacks there. The Gragas ultimate knocking it out of the Cinder Sun.
Yeah, exactly. Just didn't really work for them there.
Just getting a bit desperate, I think, to get that kill in the mid lane onto Quad Cannon and get him rolling. And
Quad Cannon rolling was such an important factor for them last time, as was Masneric. And
absolutely, Janna comes to the mid lane for a gank though.
Masneric is 0-4, Quad Cannon, but double sexy Sero gets in a world of trouble and does fall to the ult from Syndra. Subfusk arrives just to save the tower, but there's not much he can do about the kill.
That's very important for Cambridge, that is, to get Quad Cannon going. And you can really tell because they did send the Janna up as well to try and secure that.
They a lot of resources into it.
They knew the Orianna didn't have the flash. Did have the shockwave though, I'm not sure why it wasn't used. Masneric now going aggressive on the top lane towards Aurelia. Aurelia quite low on mana though, so not sure she can do too much there.
Yeah, that is why some people do run Ghost on Orianna, right? Once that flash is down, gank at will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's still, another 2.5 minutes before that flash comes back up, but we could possibly see double sexy
Sero go down again.
Yeah.
And once the Syndra gets ahead, it's very hard for the Orianna to get back in.
I mean, Orianna really needs to do well in lane to get to that late game 3-item enormous damage spike she gets with her Void Staff.
Oh yeah, and the Rabadon's Void Staff combo. It's huge.
She's not so far behind right now. Let's take a look at the gold. And Clymore is, as predicted, got a massive, nearly 2,000 gold lead over Masneric, and that lane has been abandoned by the enemy by Lustlake.
I think it has to be. There isn't much point in ganking a losing lane if you.
Because we saw a losing lane, but like a 4-0 lane.
It is going very wrong. Although he has managed to catch up a bit of CS, so hopefully he will be relevant in the team fights. But that is I'm about to say, the only disparity coming through in the game now.
Like just missing the bubble onto Carniflex.
Chomper's not quite getting put down in time.
Whoa, this could be and that just about gets the tidal wave onto Carniflex. The shockwave, it does get an Akawan, and that's a kill going over to Deviri. Deviri finally on the board.
I didn't even see the Orianna there, it was off screen.
And that's quite an essential one because Deviri has to get ahead. The double pickaxe buy coming out from Carniflex here.
Yeah, that is questionable, but I think that's because he doesn't have the gold for the BF sword yet. He's just going to have to get it.
He's just trying to get it as a snowball item. Maybe.
Itemizing for the late game, really, I think.
Yeah, I think they've definitely seeded that lane. And the bot lane is not winning. This is not a winnable matchup. Top lane is feeding. What does Lustlake do? Where does he gank?
I think that he should focus on the mid lane still. Get Quad Cannon rolling.
They've got, they've got decent. They've got wards. Well, they've got wards in the bottom river. I'll probably chop it down the top river at some point as well. Yeah, they're well prepared for it.
They're really going on to Hecarim here.
Whoa, Spirit of Dread are away, but takes a huge, more than half his HP and is forced to back away. Akawan taking another net as Deviri is really showing up on this Caitlyn.
And does have the advantage now that he's got that BF sword.
Exactly. Carniflexing can't really trade anymore.
Subus getting the second dragon solo. This is going to be huge for the Oxford team.
What I'm surprised by is the lack of Avarice Blade on kind of flexing.
Yeah, that is strange. Although what I think's happened is he's gone for the early Berserker Greaves in order to give him more mobility.
Right.
Huge damage going out to Carniflex in there. And just the power of Caitlyn
taking loads of
shining
poke,
through.
fires out the Super Mega Death Rocket, but does miss Deviri. Akon speeding forwards, lands the slow onto Icelight and the Howling Gale. Icelight's forced to flash away from Lustlake. Lustlake goes to the flash body slam, but he hasn't got the distance right, and that's a massive barrel. Icelight is, Subfusk in serious trouble there. And you have the CC to capitalise on it though. And
That was very
he's
good.
able to get away. Oh dear, double Sexy Sero may be in a lot of trouble here. With the Syndrome coming in behind him, he's potentially about to get landed on. Luckily, they don't stick around in the bot lane, and that does give him an opportunity to escape towards the
Cambridge
safety.
decides to back out there. Syndra goes back to the mid lane to push in. It was a really great Gragas ultimate there. He sees that Subfusk is low, decides to try and isolate him, forces him to flash away, otherwise he'd have been killed, and it would have gone over to the Jinx as well.
And actually, Aurelia and Oriana, who've still got the flashes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the
Climo
enemy
going
team,
aggressive.
all of the flashes back. Whoa! Quad cannon melted by this huge Aurelia. He's been quite... We haven't had a kill from Climo for a good 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Just reminding us that he's still here. Now with his Trinity Force completed, Climo doing some work.
154 CS at 17 minutes as well.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Nearly LCS level.
They say that LCS level is around about the 100 CS mark at about 11 minutes. So, yeah getting close to that.
Close to 200 or over 200
Robin's
Masner gets the
record,
teleport in.
Oh.
Spirit of Dread onto Double Sexy Sero, trying to... But Double Sexy Sero still at the
Bit of a
flasher.
waste, really.
Yeah, so it's going to be able to back out of that, even if it's more threatening than it eventually transpired to be. Carniflexen gets a bit of damage onto Deviri, but it's not enough. And the gold lead in this game has opened out to 5k.
Oh,
Totally
Nami's
different
caught
story
here.
this time. And again, revolving around Climball. Akawan stunned up by the bubble, but he's able to survive without taking too much damage. Masnarik comes down here to try and get some vision of the dragon. It's probably up in not too long, and they really have to challenge this one. I think they've got the item. Neil, they're not going to have the items to challenge dragon for a long while with the Jinx. But if they don't start challenging soon, then before they know it, we're going to have 4 on Oxford, and we'll get to the point where
that's
going to
be scary. They're going to have to challenge at that point. I think them taking the bot tower here is an attempt to try and gain some of the control back in the lower half of the map.
That is the first tower on the board for Cambridge.
It is. The global gold will be
3-1.
very helpful.
And it does also reduce the gold lead a little bit as well. But it's just the fact that they're all the way down to the inhib tower of the top lane. So Climo not only showing up in team fights, but also converting his massive lead in lane to a huge split pushing presence. Double Sexy Sarah eats a stun, eats the ultimate and the ignite. Lustlake just comes in to get a last bit of
Flash
damage.
wasted there, and no shockwave used
Subfusk
either.
ultimate. Oh, and the barrel the exploding cast doesn't quite knock him away. Whoa, Climo gets stunned up and jumped on by everyone, and he's forced to flash away. And that is, of course, the luxury of having the Aurelia as opposed to that.
Yeah. Oh, the Super Mega Death Rocket just misses Aurelia there.
And that could have been dangerous. Subfusk said Masnarek takes and somehow survives through the tidal though. That's an ace in the hole coming onto Syndra as well, and she's going to look very low and does actually go down to the snowball of Subfusk, and that's going to end up being a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Cambridge just going a bit too deep there. I think they were trying to get that kill and shut down onto Climo, but in doing so they stayed around too long, and Oxford managed to react to it and pick up some kills here in the mid lane, extending the gold lead to 5,000 now. I think they will be looking to push down this mid tower now with a blood-boiled Caitlyn shredding through it quite quickly.
And yeah, here they come. Caitlyn abusing that tower pressure. Yeah, the blood boil's on. And this tower is not long for this world.
I think Gragas needs to leave quite quickly.
Lustlake was close there to being a little bit out of position. And meanwhile, they're all congregating in the mid lane. Maybe a play on the dragon, which is coming up in 2 minutes for the vision. Baron up in 8 seconds, but I still don't think we're going to see an EGG early Baron.
No, I somehow don't think so.
They love to try and win a team fight at about 20 minutes and take it straight into a Baron, but it's not a tactic that's called on over in the West yet. The Chinese game is actually quite different tactically. They do some very odd things, like support Aurelia.
Yeah, support Rengar's quite big there. Ultimate goes across into the mid lane, Carnifex trying to pick up, although Climo is teleporting
another great
in.
ult from Double Sexy Sero.
Oh, very good Howling Gale.
Knocked up so well. Carniflex in is absolutely saved. Subfusk goes super low, and that's going to fall to Carniflex.
That's a brilliant
and
turnaround
Climo gets shut down as well by Quad Cannon. It's a great turnaround, and it ends up being a 2-0 in favour of Cambridge.
I think Cambridge will now be trying to look to push down this middle turret.
Double Sexy Sarah eats a lot of damage from the stun, and they have to forsake this mid turret. There's no way they can stop this going down. Icefly gets a consolation bubble star onto Lustig, it's not enough. Masneric looked like he might want to have engaged onto Deviri, but he's not going to, and the tidal wave comes out just to prevent that as well. Just to force them off the tower. They still have a little bit of a wave, they do fall back though.
Cambridge really demonstrating their powerful counter-engage comp there. With the Gragas and Hecarim ability to turn around. Masneric waits around too long in the mid lane and just gets picked off by Deviri.
That's 2-on-1 now for the Caitlyn. And that may be her Phantom Dancer. Let's see the go.
Maybe even a static shift for the wave play, I'm not sure.
A long way off from the Phantom Dancer still. But could get another crit gauntlet. Meanwhile, the Infinity Edge is now finally completed for the Jinx. As soon as she gets some crit, that's going to start to be a bit of damage coming out of the card effects. Who, despite all the pressure on the bot lane, has admirably managed to stay alive.
Yeah, he stayed in the game very well, and he's not died at all. He's very good at positioning himself. Plays quite safe, but we've not actually seen the Aurelia going on him too hard yet at the moment.
No, we haven't really had any 5x5 team fights because Clymore has just been so intent on split pushing top. But you know, with all of those down, yeah, they're going to come in for a third dragon, and either they don't have the vision or they simply just don't want to challenge this.
This is going to be a dead Janna.
Clymore versus Squishy Janna, and Squishy Janna has to run a flash. He keeps going. The ace in the hole was just about survived though, thanks to the shield. And now Lustig's here to save his Janna. Hands off my support, says Gragas.
Some good play there from Janna actually, synergizing the ultimate with the flash away.
Yeah,
getting the maximum distance.
And then the clutch reaction shield to survive the ace in the hole. So Akon again doing good things, showed up very well on the Annie last game.
Flash.
Whoa!
I'm
flash body stun.
Questionable of that.
But he's able to be instantly stunned because he's got more HP than Aurelia. And, this is a lot of damage now going onto this mid turret. Clymore meanwhile goes in and then shortly out again. Oh dear, Clymore's in a huge amount of trouble.
Yeah,
the ignites on him. Final tick does take him, and Quad Cannon's going to claim the Aurelia. And all of a sudden, Clymore's looking mortal.
Sorry. Have they paused?
This is them grouping up in the mid lane. Orianna does get some poke damage down. Arcoan just sweeping out the vision around the Drake. But they've missed it. The Drake's long gone now. And I don't know.
We have just been informed by one of the event organisers that the Cambridge team have apparently all disconnected from the server.
Which we will see in about 2.5 minutes' time because of our spectator delay.
Of course.
So we may have to pause the stream and see what happened at that point. There's a bit of an internet error there. But in the meantime, we'll cast what's happening up until that point. Deviri and Lustig just farming their own jungles. Everyone's sitting back here, just trying to power up for those next item spikes, the next team fight. This game, from looking very one-sided earlier, is starting to turn back in the favour of Cambridge.
I think Oxford getting a little bit greedy, trying to close things out too quickly. And Cambridge have ended up picking themselves up a few more kills.
And Quad Cannon is really starting to show up again.
He is, absolutely. Early. And he's got that really early Void Staff, which is going to be an attempt at looking at picking off their carries.
Yes, super early Void Staff.
Double really Sexy is caught again in the mid lane.
Double Sexy, and here comes the DC. Well, Double Sexy is probably dead at this point. And maybe a local internet problem. Rito, please. EU West. Fix EU West, please. Well. At our own peril, let's see what Twitch chat makes of this.
Let's have a look.
Edgy Rome. Hecarim was lagging the whole time, boys. Tactical DC. I had no idea Froggen went to Oxford.
No.
Who leaked the Skype IP? Good question. We're actually not on Skype, are we? No, I don't think so. Intel boys. Oxford eSports loving the Intel. Oh, Twitch chat is enjoying its moment of fame on stream. Don't mind me just taking my mods for a walk. That's clearly a Richard Lewis supporter. Sorry, Richard Lewis. Is somebody attempting some copy pasta here? 5-7 in the audience, chipping in. Shout out to Rob T from MY Win 4. Is there a Rob T in the house? Rob T clearly not willing to identify himself to the friend who took the considerable effort of calling him out. Apparently everyone's decent. I'm currently talking to one of the Oxford players, which is somewhat troubling. Apparently the server has come down. So just when we thought we'd finally overcome the myriad of technical issues, we haven't.
No, and again.
And I think, guys, we may have to take a break here from the stream and just work out what's going on.
Absolutely, and
hopefully we'll give you an update as soon as we.
And if everyone's disconnected in a custom game, surely that means the game no longer exists.
Yep, the game no longer exists.
So
which
I wonder
does mean that we may get a full remake coming out.
We may. Although Oxford might questionably dispute that because they were ahead.
Yeah.
And a few of their strategies were revealed.
Sexy Sarah was about to die.
Yeah. Well, he'll be complaining.
Go home, Oxford fangaze, says AHSW Tinney. Cheers. I feel like this is like reading like celebrities read mean tweets. Casters read mean Twitch chat. Just Twitch chat actually.
Take a break, go to LoL Wiki and learn hacker skills.
If any of the Cambridge players are reading
remake,
there's a lot of odds on Balotelli to score next. I think you may be on the wrong stream, Jacob. And here come the Kappas.
Out in force today.
Sapcasters. What? Sapcasters. Like tree sap?
Like sup or?
Like sup, but that's got a U in it.
Yeah, no, but maybe he's some kind of regional accent actually.
Supcasters, like some sort of weird like Dutch accent or something.
Hey, Dutch accent's not very weird.
Somebody, JDS fancies himself as a bit of a comedian. Why did Cambridge win at StarCraft? Because there's nothing else to do in Cambridge.
I'm not sure. We won some of them.
I wish
and
these
the game is still live.
Hey, don't you really love ignoring Twitch chat? You know, I really enjoy being fucking rude and not acknowledging Twitch chat. You know.
Oxford Salt clogged Cambridge's server. I think that's brilliant.
So and there's a little description of sodium. Why aren't they playing Hon? Because it's crap. Sorry, Seeley. I sexually identify as an enchanted mango. Each to their own, I say, hey G, each to their own. I'm having a plastic surgeon install leaves 150 mana and +1 HP regen on my body.
Hey guys, I'm a Cambridge boy, and I have to admit most of us are gay.
Are the casters masturbating under the table, resulting in a shaky camera?
Are we on the camera? I'm not even sure we are.
But, yes, that's exactly what's happening. After all of the tech delays, we had to do something to entertain ourselves, and that was it. Right, we're going to have a look to see what's going on in-game. Spectator data unavailable, the game will now exit. So we've just been booted out of client. Reconnect, see what's there to reconnect to you. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we've been told that everyone is now back in the game, and they've paused. They're just waiting for us to load back in. So we will hopefully be right back with you after that enjoyable detour via Twitch chat. We can stop masturbating under the table and get back to casting.
What a shame. Really, I was quite enjoying that.
Okay, so they're good to start if hopefully that gets communicated to them at some point. Meanwhile, we can just enjoy them derping around a bit. That's not too good. Oh, of course, we're on a 3-minute delay, so we may have to wait a few minutes for them all to come back to the game. And here comes the pause.
We can confirm at this time, though, that I think Oriana did die.
I would be amazed if Oriana had not died. Maybe he... was it tactical? Double Sexy Zero's got a DDoS button on the desk, like a panic button. I'm about to get nailed in mid.
He should have used it at least 3 times before then. It's a shame Hecarim doesn't have such a button.
He would have used that long ago.
Oh yeah, been fapping that in 2 minutes.
I think Masnarek possibly actually has also been masturbating under the desk, hence the...
and crying as well.
Hence the one-handed plays 062. He's gone for the. He's recovered from it reasonably well, though. He's picked up the early Frozen Heart, which I guess is making the best of a bad bunch. You're never going to be that scary damage Hecarim, so you may as well pick up that Frozen Heart, get some tank stats, and have some kind of presence in the team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the phage there, so he's got a bit more movement speed and a bit of attack damage, but he's really looking at becoming the tank now and just being mainly just a harassment.
As well.
Yeah, I think they were the first item actually completed, which is kind of standard for Hecarim.
I don't know. It's a good pick if you're ahead and you're looking to get those snowball ganks bot lane, but it doesn't offer the biggest amount of utility. It's 450 gold that could be spent on a component of, like a cloth vest or a ruby crystal,
Though
just to give you an edge in lane.
You have to remember that once the outer turret went down, which it did before then, having the home guards allows him to not have to teleport back to top lane. He can just recall and run there. I
forgot how early that tower actually bit the dust. An error message has just pinged up. I don't know what's going on. Spectating. We'll just reconnect again. Bear with us. But really quite a good recovery in the last 10 minutes, don't you think?
From Cambridge?
From Cambridge.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly evening out the proceedings.
Waiting for stats is the game.
I'd skip that and go on the friends list and spectate Carniflexing. Or Deveri or whatever. Just go up.
Oh, here we go.
Spectate game.
Right, and we will just try and hop back into the game as quickly as possible because I think they are back underway. I don't know what happened there. Rito, please, fix spectator. Maybe they'll install replays. And we go, oh, they haven't done replays. So, just to recall the situation we left the game in, there were 8 people mid, and double sexy Sarah was looking pretty fucked on the Orianna. He'd been dived on, taken a whole load of CC, and was on virtually a sliver of health. So I'll be interested to see what happened there, whether the death went through with the server problems, and then what they do with that pick in mid lane. Yeah,
I think certainly the disconnect would have favoured Oxford slightly more because Cambridge were on the aggressive, really trying to push the tower.
Well, I mean, like talking about the momentum game, Cambridge was starting to come back into it, starting to get some momentum of their own, and maybe the disconnect is going to help Oxford to steady the ship and start to push their advantage.
Absolutely.
And talking about the differences in the teams and the amount they practice in their communication, I think this is exactly what I envisaged as how these games would go down. Oxford able to get the early lead through the aggressive play of Kleinmore, but they just don't have the team play to snowball that lead and take the objectives. With the 6-0 Hecarim, you could be using it around the map to take all sorts of objectives, and the tactical play just hasn't been there.
Yeah, of course. Do you mean Aurelia? Or?
Sorry, the Aurelia.
Yeah. Hecarim is 0-6.
When I played with on a team with Kleinmore in the Oxford in-house, after scrims, Aurelia was permabanned. We got Hecarim out in the first game, and that was permabanned as well. So it's just bizarre. It's weird for me to get a chance to see Kleinmore on either champion, but they clearly haven't felt yet that it was enough of a ban priority. And
I think maybe they were hoping that Masneric would get it again.
Yeah, I think they're going to ban one of them. But I mean, they are first picking next game, so they do have a chance to get the steal there, and they'll ban the other one. And they'll even actually probably bait the red team into forcing a ban on the other, because those 2 top laners seem like vitally important picks. We just have had another error message, so I'll see what's going on. Spectator data unavailable again. We'll try and get this error message sorted for you and back into the game.
Can we just...
Microphone's back on. Here we go. So we've now got the spectator issues sorted again. For those of you on stream, play has resumed, and I think double subsector probably did go down. So hey, Lige, you've got a fresh take on this. What do you think of this game so far?
I think there's a lot of throws, and despite promising. Despite promising a convincing victory, the Cambridge team has so far lied to me and has not been convincing at all. As a matter of fact, I'm very worried about how this will turn out.
Well, I think you're being slightly unfair to them. They have half the gold lead. They're making some much more intelligent plays in the rotations, and I just feel like maybe Oxford don't have the coordination, the experience together to take this lead and to turn it into a win.
I have spoke to the players, and most of them did convince me that they were out of practice. But,
Right.
Quad Cannon seems to have picked up a kill just there.
Yeah, Cod Cannon is playing really well this game. Now 6-2-1 on that Syndra. Cod Cannon again looks like he is going to be the saviour for Cambridge, as he was in the last game. There's lots of pings going down here on Clymore, and he's caught out trying to take this pink ward. Unfortunately, they're there to back him up, and they don't have the forces to capitalise. They're going to take what they can here from the bot side jungle. That's whipped away by Cod Cannon. No Gromp for you, Subfusk. And now the whole team is there to bully them out. I really don't see actually the point of the whole team being here. With the Dragon timing the wave in top, I don't think this is a great decision.
There was a teleport advantage for Oxford's earlier until just a moment ago. The teleport on Mesmeric just came back. So because there was no split push going on for that, there was no capitalization from that teleport. There's other pause.
We've just got another pause coming out on stream, and I'm not really sure about the reason for that, but hopefully we'll get back into the game again. So, Haylide, what's your background as a player? Are you
I played League in Season 1 and Season 2.
Season 1, so you're a long-time veteran of League of Legends.
Long time wannabe of League of Legends.
You and me both, Haylide. You and me both.
And then I've decided to move games to Dota 2, and this became a wannabe for Dota 2 as well.
So are you playing for the Cambridge Dota 2 team later, or are you just here as a spectator
No, I have
today?
played for StarCraft earlier.
Oh, right. How did your games go?
My game, I was able to 2-0. It was very successful. And my game was before the stream broke down, so it was arguably the most spectatable game of the B stream.
That's an honour that was, I'm sure, correctly awarded to you, Halo. Did you reward them with a flashy game?
I wouldn't say
What's
flashy,
did you hear anything about the CS:GO?
Oh yes, I heard the first game, which was shorter than my StarCraft games, was a 16-1 stomp.
Yes, but then Cambridge put it back. I was going to say, there were several disrespect Zeus purchases by the button of Oxford during that. Is there a StarCraft 2 equivalent of the Zeus? Like a terrible weapon that you just buy as complete BM?
So in StarCraft, once you know you've won, you draw inappropriate things on the map with assorted buildings, such as Sapporo Post.
I take it we're not discussing smiley faces.
No.
But we are now finally back into the game, and hopefully all of those technical issues have now been resolved, and we really apologise for this disruption. There's been a lot of technical problems on the stream today. A lot of us are students. This event is hosted and managed and run by students, and it's a really good experience for us to run around and we're learning, and hopefully it'll be better next year. So here we go, we've got a bit of a push coming here in the mid lane. They want to have a go at that turret, but there's too much wave clear coming out, and they are forced to back off. Meanwhile, they're going to try and get vision control back in the bot jungle, but if we have a look at the top lane, there's a big wave pushed onto here, and the teleport's up for Mesmeric. Maybe they want to try and force an engage here and then get up there to take advantage of it. It looks like that's what's going to happen, but Akawan gets strangely far ahead of his team, eats a bit of damage from the Caitlyn. It's a lot of damage going on to Quad Cannon, who flings his ult onto Deviri, but it doesn't do much. Deviri just steps out the Hyper Mega Death Rocket, and that could have been very bad. He goes super low, but he somehow survives. And they're going to kite off here now and get some more side wave control, I think. And somebody from the blue team has got to go to the top lane, and that's it. Yeah, Clymore is going up the top there to just try and pick up the last dregs of that wave, push it out again, and see what they can work from it. Carniflex in on his own there in the mid lane, but they've got plenty of wards. It's not too dangerous for him to be up here, just trying to pick up some farm. Now Jinx has now pulled ahead of the Caitlyn on farm, and he's starting to position himself very well to scale. Still hasn't got a crit item, only the attack speed from the Berserker's Greaves, but actually being played very well by Carnifex.
He needs to make sure he goes back before the next dragon comes up, because there are 2 cores ready on the Oxford's Caitlyn, whereas there's only the Infinity Edge up on the Jinx. You just need
You
to
see,
make sure he goes
Carniflex
back.
is sitting on nearly 3,000 gold, so he can get his Phantom Dancer outright on his next back, which is suddenly going to give him a massive team fight presence. And this is just a testament to how long these teams have been scrapping across the map for vision control for this dragon. And without the back, Cambridge can't really contest this.
Yep.
In fact, they've sent 2 back. The best they can do is, and Akawan manages to flash out of the ultimate Zero comes down. He's knocked out of it by Lustley. They do get the dragon. But that's a huge amount of damage going onto Icefly, and he goes down too. The Spirit of Dread goes down. He gets a few, but he's gone way too deep. But that's a huge amount of damage from the Hyper Mega Death Rocket coming down. Clymore is forced to run away from Masneric. That's not something that's happened often this game. Gets the equalizing strike on Masneric to get the stun and run away. Syndra's not there to capitalise and get an optimistic stun over it, and that actually went very well for Cambridge.
Yeah, despite losing the dragon, and despite it being 4v5, the fight did go in a huge favour for Cambridge. If only Carniflex went back slightly earlier and purchased the dragon and made his way down, it would have been a convincing victory. But
Oxford wouldn't be able to take it, and if you're Oxford, you're seriously worried now, right? But instead, Cambridge now are going for a Baron, and that Baron is going down very quickly to the 2-item Jinx. And there's no vision on it for Cambridge, for Oxford, so this is going to be a fairly simple Baron for Cambridge. However, Deviri comes in off the backline. That's 2 kills. They don't get the Baron, but who's going to be left alive with the Baron buff? Double Sexy Sarah having to step out of the way, and that's a massive crit. And finally, the shutdown onto Carniflex in, but he gets quite a lot for it. Deviri goes down, so they're not able to push towers here. Quite a ballsy Baron, but they just about make it out okay.
they just about make it out indeed.
And with that, check out the gold lead. It's really getting quite close again, and Oxford, who pulled ahead on the efforts of Clymore, Aurelia's, it's getting to 30 minutes. Aurelia's power spike is pretty much over, right?
Yep. So as soon as the Jinx hits the 3 cores and the Hecarim becomes slightly more tankier, the team fights will be significantly in favour of the Cambridge team.
And the win conditions of this game for Oxford were to have, they have got 2. They are onto 2 inhibitor turrets. But, they'd like to think they'd have got even further ahead. They're only 2 kills ahead, only 3 turrets. They are nearly on the 5th dragon, however, and that could force Cambridge into some really dodgy fights.
Yep. So 5th dragon with the initiation from Aurelia, with the Orianna Ball and the ultimate, can change the fight. So I guess that would be something to look out for.
And if they get that 5th dragon, is that possibly ending even?
If the 5th dragon does come up, does go the way of Oxford, the stat difference probably will ensure the victory for Oxford, as the goal difference is very minuscule at the moment. But that bonus double buffs on everything, which Cambridge has 0 stacks of, will be quite significant.
And of course, it's quite remarkable that they're already on 4 dragons here at 30 minutes. The dragon control has been absolutely superb from Oxford this game, and they're really making the most of their early mid-game comp, taking those dragons, putting themselves in the position now to get that 5th buff and carry the team fights with all of the true damage.
And as a result of the Luna jungler, the smite fights aren't very fair for the Cambridge jungler.
Because he's got 2 smites. Yeah.
So it is harder for Luzlek to
But it still didn't help them get the Baron.
Yep.
That was just lax vision, and I'm really surprised, to be honest, because one of the strengths of Oxford in Game 1 of this series was their really, really excellent vision all across the map. And here in Game 2, they've been somewhat lax with the vision. They've got plenty around the Baron now, but it's far too late. The Baron's all up for another 5 minutes. And they're now doing their best to try and get a push onto the mid tower. They do crash a wave and get a few hits off, but it doesn't actually take that much. And Cambridge are able to group up and push them away.
That was the cannon wave, and so there's 3 waves of no cannon, so I don't think this tower will be going down very easily, unless there's a hard initiation.
Yeah, with those Baron-empowered cannon minions, of course, a lot of health doing a lot, but that's a huge 3-man stun coming out of Quad Cannon. They can't capitalise on it, but his mechanics on that Syndra have been superb.
Syndra has been his favourite hero, and throughout the null, Syndra has been taken away from him, as it was seen as his signature hero.
So it's a big mistake from Oxford maybe in picks and bans to let that Syndra through.
I think he may be.
Possibly a priority ban for them, but they wanted to get rid of the LeBlanc. Is it kind of a pick your poison really? He's able to to wreck them in the late game with whatever they give him. So a bit of damage being exchanged back and forth. Lushlek gets very low from the Transcendent Blades of Aurelia, but he ultimately doesn't go down, and they do back off.
That was a very nice disengaging Gragas ultimate to ensure his safety.
And that's the great thing here about the Gragas and the Janna. If you do get behind, you've got so much disengage, and that perhaps, maybe I've been unfair saying it's Oxford, you're not having the communications and the rotations to win. Maybe it's simply all the disengage that this Cambridge team comp offers makes it really hard for you to snowball.
It does. As when Carniflexen got caught earlier in the middle lane and was able to get peeled out and turn the fight, there's so much peel available for the Cambridge team that team fights are going to be proven difficult for the Oxford side.
So we've now got backs coming out from all of them. There's probably quite a bit of gold stacking up. It's been a long while since that dragon fight, and people are just going to buy up. And it's entered a bit of a lull in the game because I don't think anything is going to happen until that dragon comes up in a minute's time, and that it could be a deciding point in this game. If that 5th dragon does manage to go over to Oxford, Cambridge are going to be in very severe trouble, down to inhibitor turrets in 2 lanes. They can potentially lose both inhibs. So we'll see if Quad Cannon can use that Syndra poke to keep them from claiming that objective.
The thing to note here is that the Caitlyn went for the Bloodthirster. Is going for the Bloodthirster, whereas the Jinx has gone for the Last Whisper. So the power spike is now. They want this next dragon. They can't afford to lose the next dragon.
No, and they've itemised for it. Lustlake goes in, gets a double knockup, but he's onto Subfusk and Clymore. They're relatively tanky, and it's not who you wanted to get with that cooldown. Core Cannon is able to get another stun onto Clymore, but nothing's going to come of it. All they can do is clear out the vision, but they still don't really have position to take this dragon. Double Sexy Sarah is coming in, perhaps looking to zone with the ball, but I think he's probably exposing himself. Dodges out the zap. Subfusk going in to see if he can catch a snowball engage. Gets the shield as well, but they're not going to find anything. They do get the Scuttle Crab, which is a great steal, actually. I think they were lucky that it just wandered over there to them. And now they've got vision of the whole team fight. So close to disrupting the Caitlyn ult there, but Deviri just gets it off before Akawan's Howling Gale hits him. That's the zoning barrel, but it also throws Subfusk into the team. Just about gets the ultimate out. The Spirit of Dread from Mazarek onto both the squishies. Why have you left them alone with the Hecarim? There's no peel at all, and it nearly goes so badly for them. Double Sexy Sarah forced to flash out. Carniflex's Hyper Mega Death Rocket picks up a kill onto Deviri, and with that they're forced to back away. But I know how Kevin plays, and Clymore is definitely going to be looking for some clean-up kills here. He flashes over the stun and gets the outplay. Clymore still going, gets the speed up from Orianna, but they don't think they can catch them. But Clymore could definitely wrap this fight up, maybe even the ace if he's able to get the right catch. Hecarim does manage to make it back, but Clymore, whoa, and that's a huge teleport from Carniflex, and gets 2. There's a triple kill at him here for him if he wants it, but he's forced to dodge away from Clymore. But Mazarek has teleported back in, that's a kill for Clymore. Clymore manages to pick up Carniflexin with the one more ult charge, but he gets in with the Blade Surge, and that's the shutdown onto Carniflexin. And now Mazarek is left 2v1, but what can he do? Subfusk is incredibly low, no mana. It's all up to Clymore. Can he get the stuns? But Mazarek, rather than trying to fight it, isn't going for the kills. He's desperately trying to dash away. Clymore Blade Surges too early, and perhaps they don't have the engage to get back onto them here. And he's forced to get away, and that was a 4 for 4, maybe? People teleporting in and out.
That was a very, very scrappy fight. The Hecarim teleported out and then tried to teleport back in, but the nearest ward was too far away, so he couldn't get the benefit of home guard.
Yeah, the home guard enchant was all gone, and this is going to open up the dragon now for the blue team. I think eventually sort of came out on top of that. And yeah, Claymore is just here to zone off the enemy jungler, and with Subfusk has probably got a really big spike. Whoa, and that's a Spirit of Dread coming in from Mazarek, trying to get a kill. The barrel comes down. Quad Cannon, though, is going very low. That's a huge triple shockwave. That's 3 kills going on. Clymore keeps going on to Akawan. And Akawan's forced to Monsoon, but because he's taken so early, only the knock-up and none of the heal comes through. And that means it's a simple matter for Clymore to claim his double kill. And that was absolutely massive ult from Double Sexy Sero.
This was what we were on about earlier. They needed to get the Orianna ultimate on the core heroes, and they needed the Aurelia to go in the background to clean up the background. Both of these things happened.
Here we talked about with that 5th dragon, we were going to start to see some structures fall, and 36 minutes, there's still 10 seconds on the death timers. It looks like Oxford think they can end here. I think it's going to be very tight. 3 seconds on Leslie, only 8 on the Hecarim, 10 on Quad Cannon. Can they get the Nexus? And they do in time, and this best of 3 series is going to game 3.
This is significantly different to what my boys promised me that they can perform. They were convinced that they'll win 2-0 and save me time. They were completely wrong.
I mean, perhaps it would have helped the structures a bit, but when starting the next one, Right, we'll just find out what's going on there as quickly as possible, and I'll just put us back onto. And you can see Haylite's beautiful face here now on my right. So, what did you make of that game, Haylite?
So the game started off badly for the Cambridge side, and it looked like Quad Cannon was able to salvage little bits and pieces, but ultimately the Dragon control was in Oxford's favour for the whole game, and eventually the Oriana got the big shockwave required, and as a result, the 5th Dragon came along with it, and in the end, that was just too much.
Yeah, and I say that 5th Dragon, we were talking about how that was going to be the decisive factor in the game. It looked like Cambridge might be coming back. They had that better late game team fight composition. Once the 5th Dragon went over to Oxford, that was probably GG at that point. And it was just that fantastic late fight. All of the ingredients coming in at the right place. They got the dive onto the carries. Syndra completely zoned out of the last fight by Clymore, who probably was the MVP of that game. I think you'd agree. And it really sort of all came together for them, and they got the kills they wanted, and got the 5th Dragon and got the win.
Yep.
And exactly what they needed. And now they're coming into the final game of this best of 3 off the win. As a player yourself, how does that affect you?
Well, I'm sure the guys are slightly upset, annoyed, or slightly challenged by what just happened, but I'm sure they'll be able to weather it out. And
I would hope not. Even though I'm from Oxford, Cambridge doesn't have so much to be disheartened about there. Kevin just happened to win some very, very close top trades early, got really, really ahead, and then that was the key to them, and they so nearly came back into the game. There were lots of very promising team fights, and they just slightly lost it on the last one. They didn't have the vision, the teleport that came in was better, but it could have gone either way. Had they got that last team fight, I think we could have seen the game stalled out a bit more.
Yep, and the top lane, it was the opposite of game 1. And unlike in game 1, the Hecarim did not roam around the map using the teleport. Although the teleport is a team's decision, if there was more usage of the teleport to get the Hecarim started up. So despite the fact that Irelia was 6-0 in the first game, Hecarim also was a significant impact for the Oxford side.
Yeah,
But,
both of those champions clearly excellent picks for Clymore.
yeah, but in the second game, the Hecarim seemed to be a bit of a tanker, which was not able to do much because of how bad a start he had.
So let's run through both teams, one map apiece. Let's talk about what each team thinks they're going to have to do, pick and ban, strategies-wise, to win the final match. So we'll start with Cambridge first. I think they've got to be looking at Clymore, right? They've got to try and keep him in his lane, get him off these carry champions, which he's enjoying, and punish them where they're weak. And right now, it does look like the mid lane is probably the easiest weakness. Quad Cannon, not necessarily winning the lanes, but with enough jungle help, and certainly in the late game team fights, is easily getting the better of double sexy Sero. And so that's the targets there for them. Do you have anything to add?
So the bottom lane picks, I thought, despite it being a Caitlyn pick against a Jinx, I thought the bottom lane did worse than how they were supposed to perform. So
Carniflexing did really well, actually, in what is a massive counter.
Yeah, but because of the teleports and also the jungler's ganks, the bottom lane kind of exploded, and I think it went in the favour of Oxford in that every time they took the advantage, they were able to capitalise with the dragon or the tower, whereas every time Cambridge won a fight from the bottom lane, all the objectives were already gone.
I think I would have liked to see a Sivir pick, to be honest, from Carniflex in there. And Sivir is a commonly quoted counter to Caitlyn. Can harass with the boomerang blade, is able to sponge up the Piltover Peacemakers and the traps with the spell shield. And in game 1 demonstrated that he was very, very comfortable on that champion. Wasn't banned. And neither was the Annie, so why not just pick that bot lane again?
Yep.
They didn't look anywhere near as comfortable on the Janna, on the Jinx, and I think it's definitely a big mistake though, picks and bans.
And also another point is that the current Cambridge support is not the usual supporter for the Cambridge team.
Oh, right.
So he was chosen as a stand-in for this tournament. But for the normally, another player plays for them. He's called Chessbridge, but he's unfortunately away at the moment. So the bottom lane will be a little bit more shaky than it normally is.
There's that sort of lack of synergy. Oxford actually is suffering from the same problem. Their usual support, Cat Maniac, is not able to be with us today because he's got quite a lot of work being a finalist. So instead we have Icefly in support, who doesn't always play that role, but is doing very well, I think. Hasn't been having such a big influence on the game as Akuan, particularly Akuan's Annie in game 1. Massive, several huge clutch flash tibber stuns.
Yep.
But we have to see what they can get done, and I think
That's the expiration.
that's the expiring of the lobby. It's bugging out. It says we're still in game. So it looks like we've got possibly a bit of a bug issue up top, but hopefully they'll get the next lobby started. We still haven't discussed Oxford, so the picks and bans that game going a hell of a lot better for them.
Yep.
You think in the first game they picked a late scaling team comp and they got floored before they could get it to scale. In the second game it was Cambridge with a late scaling team comp and they lost it out. So what do you anticipate? Which picks are going to be fiercely contested in the third game? When it's clear neither team succeeds with a late scaling team.
So I'm still pretty confident that Oxford will look at mid and try to ban out quad cannon.
That seems to have been their strategy so far.
Yep. So, and I'm pretty sure in terms of bans, that's what they'll stick to. But as far as I know, the Cambridge side will choose blue side this time, so they will get the first pick. So I think, despite the bans, depending on what their strategy is, I think they may be trying to prioritize the early champions in order to maximize the chances of taking it to the late game with the gold advantage.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a real sort of fight for these. I wouldn't be surprised to see another Sejuani ban. The Gragas was not as impactful. Much easier to deal with. You have to let one through. The Sejuani ultimate is just far too strong. They gave up way too many game-changing group CC abilities in that first game. So we might not see too much difference in the bans. The Syndra, disruptive, but not anywhere near the same impact as the LeBlanc.
Yep.
They had no answer for that. So maybe the Syndra will come through again, and I'd be tempted to see Oxford daring and say, "Come on, we want to play the same team. What have you got for us? How can you beat us this time?" How do you think the Hecarim Aurelia situation is going to go down? Because we saw, Clymore on Hecarim in the first game. They swap over in game 2. How's it going to go down in game 3?
I don't think Cambridge are going to give Oxford the top lane picks which Oxford wants. Because I think it is clear from the past 2 games that the top laner makes a huge impact for the Oxford side.
It's the real key to their side. I would compare it to Fnatic. In the same way that team is heavily gated by the success of Huni and his ability to wreak havoc across their map. Oxford is so dependent on the top lane chaos to get rolling and to make stuff happen across the game in the early game. And it almost counters, however organised you are, it doesn't matter if there's a rampaging top laner all over the place. And one guy without slick communications necessarily required can really snowball again.
Yep.
So the thing is, that Hecarim is so much more effective in the hands of Clymore than in I've forgotten the top laner's name. Masnarek, yeah. Masnarek was nowhere near as effective on that Hecarim, doing very badly. But it was so close, they might fancy the matchup again.
Yeah, I think so too. But I know that Masnarek also prefers playing Aurelia to Hecarim. So when he was practicing for the Nuo, he ensured that Aurelia was one of his go-to picks.
Yeah.
So although he knows the matchup well, I think he prefers to be the Aurelia.
I think they're both Aurelia mains, but I think they could ban the Aurelia and let the Hecarim go through. I don't think they'd be worried about banning out the Hecarim because the Hecarim was not that impressive, particularly the home guard TPs. The lane was bad enough, but the influence in team fights just wasn't there. When you looked at Clymore, and he just knows just how far he can push that champion, get those cheesy exit kills and everything, and he can really sort of push that champion to his limit.
Really showed on that final fight where Masnarek TP'd in with home guard, but he was just a little too far away to get the benefits of that home guard.
Yeah, and that's partly down to the team hoarding as well. So I think bans, we're going to have Sejuani banned for sure, again by Oxford, possibly Aurelia, because they are on red side again, so they're not sure if they can pick it. So I think Cambridge might be tempted to try and force them to ban the Aurelia. And then LeBlanc, yeah. What about Cambridge? What are the bans you think they'll be looking for?
If they're not going to pick the Aurelia, I think they will get rid of the Aurelia. Because they seem to be struggling a lot against it.
What about the Hecarim?
I'm not entirely sure how they will want to deal with Hecarims. So first game, although Hecarim had a huge impact in the game, in the end it wasn't the game decider. So they dealt it with it in some way and shape form. So
I'm interested to see what that opens up for these champions people in terms of mains, because obviously they've looked at OPGG and that's why they've got the staunch battle Vi, the staunch battle Morgana, and what happens when these champions that clearly these players must enjoy using or they wouldn't be banned, what happens when they're left open?
So Morgana I don't think will be left open. because I was looking at the guys research their OP.GG and Roll Nexus earlier, and they were pretty set on not letting Morgana go through on any of the games. But because of how these games turned out, maybe they'll spend more bans on top lane or more bans on the AD.
I think they have to at this point because Climon nearly carried Oxford in game 1, massively carried Oxford in game 2, and they've just got to shut him down, keep him in lane. I think they're looking to pick someone with sustained tankiness, somebody that he can't just bully and kill and give him the freedom to go roaming. And to force him onto something a bit more awkward. Thinking about the depths of Climon's champion pool, Aurelia and Hecarim are probably his mains, but after that, there might be a Vladimir coming out. I know he's practiced it. There was a ban on it even in game 1 against him. He's been practicing that a lot, and he's very successful on that champion. Jarvan, he likes to play as well. Lee Sin. I mean, all of these champions offer very similar things to him. He can win his lane, and he loves to win his lane and then take that advantage everywhere he goes. And even that is enough champions that I don't know if you can ban him out. Well, there's always going to be something.
Cambridge guys were saying that if they win game 1 convincingly, they'll pick any top. But I don't think we'll be seeing that today anymore. I think they'll be playing very seriously with the best picks they can have. And I think Eddie might... That's Eric. I think he may be looking to pick something which is not necessarily comfortable with, but something more helpful to peel for quad cannon or Carnifex, such as Maokai.
I've still been waiting for a really Carnifex central team comp here, because I mean him and Quad Cannon have really proven themselves as the mechanical gods of the Cambridge team. I think even though Carnifex hasn't been able to come to how in any of the games so far, he was just around the corner on the Jinx. He just didn't get to scale. In game 1 he was very disruptive on the Sivir, absolutely trashed his lane. Do they ever run those comps? What sort of comps do they run around Carnifex?
So the setup never seems to be going around the full protect Carnifex. Because at the moment, Quad Cannon is struggling with the meta where the jungler and the supporter rotates to middle lane and then disrupts his lane. So the focus is more on defending Quad Cannon in the middle lane opposed to the bottom lane. So we'll have to see if they decide to forgo the middle lane and leave Quad Cannon to be and focus more on the bottom lane to get that lane snowballed and leave Carnifex in to carry the game.
And something I wanted to talk about was the lane swap. Holmesy and I were talking at the start of both of the games so far about the lane swap, how it could be to the benefit of both teams, whether they'd make early game plays to try and secure the lane swap. And in a matter of fact, there's actually no lane swaps, which I'm surprised by, because the Cambridge Null team I know is known for their the amount of time they devote to practicing the lane swap, and they've got one of the better lane swaps in Null. Do you think we'll see that Cambridge lane swap coming out in game 3?
They weren't too confident about the lane swaps. They were telling me that they weren't well practiced enough to consider lane swaps. But if they do see a issue with the lane which they can identify quickly enough and efficiently enough, I think they will carry out the lane swaps to their advantage if there is an opportunity.
Internet back upstairs, so we should be going very soon.
All right, we've just been told that everything is back on top upstairs, and hopefully we'll get all the players in the lobby and we can get started with the final game of this best of 3 series here at Varsity 2015 in just a moment. I think the bands might even come out pretty quickly here, they want to get the Dota on. and they've had a lot of time to talk about it. I think they probably know exactly what they're going for.
Yep.
Sedge gone straight away. Probably the Aurelia as well, coming out first ban from Cambridge. I would not be surprised. It looks like Cambridge have taken the blue side here, as you said, with their choice. And they've got the first pick. What's the priority pick going to be for them?
So if the Aurelia or the LeBlanc is open, that is going to be their go-to picks. But I doubt they will be left open by the Oxford side. So I think they'll be prioritizing the top lane to try to take away whatever Mesneric feels the most comfortable on.
Double Sexy Sero has been, Holmesy and I talked about how Double Sexy Sero seems mechanically perhaps a little bit rustier than the rest of his team. He's picked 2 champions in the 2 games now, and he hasn't looked especially dominating on either of them. What do you think he's going to go to in game 3? Will he fall back on those, or is he going to go for something new? What did you make of his mid lane picks so far?
So, despite it not being the huge playmaking picks such as the LeBlanc, his Orion Ultimate did eventually win Oxford their game.
He had a lot of nice shockwaves. Thinking about it, there were 4 or 5 really excellent, pulling people away from him, or having a big team fight presence. So maybe that's a priority pick for them.
I think against a player like Quad Cannon, who likes to make plays and try to make things happen in the middle lane, I think it is safe to go for something like Oriana, which can just farm
Sit
up,
under tower,
grow up, and then make a huge late game impact.
And it seemed to be a good solution to Quad Cannon's overwhelming strength in lane. Lots of wave clear, lots of safety. I'm just going to sit under tower. He did occasionally, when they did abuse the times when the flash was down, but you can't help it. And they were able to play around it because it was essentially the only lane they could gank in that game.
They ensured that he ensured that in order to get the kill, they had to commit 2 or 3 heroes into the middle lane. So by playing safe, picking safe heroes and playing safe, I think it really did pay off.
Twitch just lavishing us with some chat spam. Please, can you play Quinn? I don't think there's going to be a Quinn coming out here for I can't see a Quinn in either of these team comps. I'm very sorry. And Twitch has really gotten on board. And the moderators step in, but in comes the spam. And I'm just going to leave Twitch to it because we have everybody in the lobby and we're just about to go. They are just getting the teams reordered so that we can easily see what's going on. And this will be picks and bans just about to get started. So, here we go. We're finally into picks and bans for the last game of this best of 3 series. It's the blue team banning first, and Cambridge go straight for the Vi again. So actually no change in the ban strategy. And they just don't want Subfuss to have that champion.
And I'm pretty sure they are going to take away the Morgana.
And the cat ban instantly again. Quad Cannon's main, a champion that has terribly strong roams, can snowball a game from 10 minutes onwards. They've got to get rid of it. The Nunu this time coming out against Subfusk, and why not? In game 1 and game 2, Subfusk showed that he had a fantastic map presence, great ganks, and awesome frontlining on that Nunu, and was really playing very well indeed.
And that dragon control was amazing from that Nunu.
They got the 5 dragons so quickly. Sejuani coming out, as we said, that would be a big ban for the Oxford team. Luslex Sejuani in game 1, way too powerful, no answer for it. Too easy to lock up Deviri's favourite squishy hyper carries. Got to get rid of it. So here comes the final ban, and I imagine they're probably talking about top lane, right?
Yep.
Let's see what comes out. I feel like it's the Morgana ban, so they leave the Aurelia, so the purple team. So they're going to have to ban the Aurelia.
Yeah, I think so.
They're going to have to ban the Aurelia.
Aurelia will be the first pick if it is left out.
Oh, I've just been told I didn't change the scene. Is that on now?
No.
Doesn't look like it. How about that's also not working? LoL client exe is not showing for some reason. Is there anyone here who can do open broadcaster software?
Can we have a text support?
So just while we're trying to get the picture sorted, I will just go back to talking about the picks and bans, just to let you know what's going through. The last ban that came out was not a top lane ban, it was actually LeBlanc, which Cod Cannon carried the crap out of the first game on. So that's quite a sensible set of bans, but that does mean both Aurelia and Hecarim were open. And surprise, surprise, did come through as the first 2 picks. Subfuss again going back to the Nami, picking the Nami for Icefly. And it was quite effective there. It's a pick that he can engage, he can disengage on, he can buff the hyper carries that Deviri likes to play, and it's a strong lane presence. And ultimately, they've got to keep Kana flexing down in lane, or with that mechanical prowess, he threatens to go huge and break open the whole game.
With the Hecarim and Nami, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Oriana pick to synergize with it. The engage is extremely strong with the Oriana and the Hecarim, so I think that is something to look out for.
Yeah, and that is locked in. Lustlake left it now hovering on the Rek'Sai rather than the Gragas. I would have expected a quick Gragas. Quad Cannon picking up that Annie for Akuan, and Akuan's Annie in game 1 was certainly a lot more convincing than his Janna, and I'm not at all surprised that he's gone back to that champion.
Yep.
And it doesn't do too badly in the matchup against Nami as well. I'd say it's a skill matchup. I don't know whether water beats fire. I'll leave that for Twitch to work out. Yep. Deviri hovering on the Draven again. Please pick it, Deviri. Double sexy Sarah here. And they've manipulated the pick and bans very well. Sarah's forced it. Both Sarah and Deviri here are forced to blind pick if they pick for their lane. Deviri hovers on the Callista, and they could go for a full mid game comp here. And we were talking about leaving it for the late game hasn't worked for either team. So maybe the Hecarim and the Callista is exactly what they're after.
The Callista pick isn't that strong.
Or maybe they're just picking only champions with blue portraits.
That could be. Although there is the Oriana.
Oh no, you've messed it up with your grey Oriana. Chroma pack, please.
I think that should be a Nivea from my personal
Yeah. And yeah, the Orianna, we talked about it. Double Sexy Zero was looking pretty good on that Orianna. Picked out some good ultimates. And with the LeBlanc and the Cat down as well, it's a reasonably safe pick. So we'll have to see what they decide to whip out there. And that means they've left the counter pick for jungle.
Yep, so the Syndra is open still, but I don't think I'm pretty sure Double Sexy is happy playing into a quad cannon Syndra, because as he's shown last game, he's perfectly capable of doing it.
And we'll have to see if it is that Syndra pick coming out again. They're going to let the time run down. They're giving it a good think. I am somewhat surprised, to be honest, that Oxford have left the jungler pick to last. You have to think, especially for Double Sexy Sero, who does have the worst end of that skill matchup versus Quad Cannon. Deviri, who again is against Carniflex and a very mechanically talented AD carry, but you would have want at least one of them on a counter pick to give them a good chance of taking the lane. And certainly the counter Caitlyn worked quite well for them last game. They were able to keep Carniflexing down. He wasn't able to scale up in time to carry his teammates. And now they can pick counters for both, and all of a sudden you have the two carries of this team on exactly who they want, and that's the Malzahar lock coming in for Quad Cannon. Malzahar, I have no idea how this matchup works, do you?
So it's just going to be a farm fest with whichever side can push, whichever side gets more assistance from their junglers. So at level 6 there's kill potential for both sides, but until then there is very little kill potential or any willingness to contest for traits.
And they do get that Sivir as well for it, so they're back to the Sivir Annie bot lane, which went so well for them in game 1. They were very, very strong on this combination, and you'll have to see how this sort of poke-heavy Deviri Icefly, Kalista, and Nami bot lane works out against it. And that finally is the Zac pick coming in really, really quickly for Subfusk. I know Nunu is Subfusk's favourite jungler. With the Nunu banned out, Zac was always going to be his fallback option. Zac offers... The early game presence is not as good as Nunu, neither is the utility presence, although he can pretty quickly, but come huge level 6 power spike. And if you look across this team, they're perfectly geared up to really form up in mid-game and try and take some objectives.
They do. They have the hard engage and they also have the disengage. It is a very solid team.
And they've got a well-rounded team comp. On the other side, we've got a very, very similar team comp to game 1 coming out. And Carniflexin is on the swap. Are they going to swap here, or is Carniflexin changing to mid? And Quad Cannon is going to play support this game, and Akawan is going to play ADC. I don't know if they forgot to swap there.
Well, the time is up, so unless that was a placeholder, I don't think...
unless there's a bug here. I just find it strange that in the last game of a best of 3 with the title on the line that you would change the roles around like that. So I'm just going to find out if those picks did go through, if it's some sort of spectator bug, or maybe if there's a remake required, because it looks like they perhaps just forgot to swap. But on the other hand, the comps are going to stay the same. As we were saying, I think... Who would you give the edge to on these picks and bans?
Honestly, on these picks, I would say the picks on the Oxford side will be stronger from the mid-game power spike onwards.
See, I don't know if I'm quite with you on that one. I'll be really interested to see how this new comp, they haven't run it before in the series. A couple of repeat champions, but it handles completely differently to what they've been running before, right? And on the other hand, Cambridge have just rerun their game for a successful comp from game 1. So, they've got the security of the fact they've already won, but they've beaten Oxford with this comp. They know how it works. They understand the win conditions. And let's see if they can make it through. And there is somebody from upstairs coming through. Is this what we were waiting for?
The stream is like 30 black. There's nothing on screen.
Yeah. We couldn't get the picks and bans. We couldn't get the lobby up. I went to the lobby, see, it just didn't work. Yeah. So it's just to remind you that we are still streaming and stuff, but the lobby scene is just not working. I can't use OBS, and Holmesy, who set it up, has now left to go and sing the Lord's praises. So we're just going to wait here, and in another minute we'll be in game, and then you can see the lovely Summoner's Rift.
Yep.
Were you a fan of the visual update at the start of this season?
I guess so. I think so. Yeah.
I must admit, I'm nostalgic for the old Rift.
I didn't
know-
like the jungle changes in the preseason. That was the biggest turn off.
What,
in my opinion.
getting rid of the range junglers?
Yep.
I thought, yeah, they killed the diversity of it until Cinderhulk.
Yep.
They took way too long, I think, to bring that out, and I'm not really a fan of Cinderhulk now. Oh, they apparently there was a DC during picks and bans for Cambridge. I guess rather than repicking this, so I don't know how this is going to be dealt with. We may have to remake picks and bans.
I'm going to try and fix OBS for you because something's
We have tech support here.
Yeah, we've got some tech support on for OBS.
very wrong.
But yeah, meanwhile, we've got apparently Cambridge DC doing picks and bans, which is why we had the mysterious role swaps coming out. I don't know how it's going to work, whether they're just going to change seats up there in the player room, but that might still leave the runes and mastery setups not ideally where they like them. So what's going to, I don't know how this is going to play out, or whether they did make it back and the spectators just bugged out. Let's see how they play it. I think we could be in line for a remake here.
Yep. Can we just check the message?
No.
Maybe not.
And we are at the loading screen, and there's nothing from Cambridge, which does seem to imply that they didn't load in, as we were told. So I would imagine there's going to be an instant pause coming out, and we're going to see what's going on there. The LoL's not showing up either. Do you want to motion someone over, Hayline? Yep. Oh no, we now do have it
we do have it
on screen.
We have it on
Excellent.
screen.
So, as you can see, there's a distinct lack of Cambridge in the loading screen. And I wonder what's going. Jam Your Eye says nerf Cinderhulk. I agree. Anyway, so all of the Oxford team are loaded in, but without Cambridge, I don't know what's going to happen here.
If the picks were as they were supposed to be, I would assume we'll have a remake of All Pick.
Can anyone find out if there's a remake going on? Upstairs.
I guess not. I don't see anyone moving. No?
I do have to say the commentary is better than expected, but maybe for next year, try to get some procasters.
The idea was. to
Thanks,
get some
Evil Moran.
broadcasters. Unfortunately, we're doing as much as we can. As much as we can.
Well, I'm glad for the vote of confidence, but I don't think the commentary today has been too bad. And you're going to have a new team for the Dota if you hate my voice, which you might do by how much of it you've now had to endure on this stream. So we sort of are into the Rift, but there doesn't appear to be any champions on it. And this is looking thoroughly odd. It looks like the picks did go through on the Cambridge side and an instant pause coming out. I would imagine that was to sort out the DC, and I think pretty shortly this is going to turn into a remake, and we will just get that sorted out. Our Twitch chat can evaluate the claim as to whether we are indeed shitcasters. I think that's for them. I'll leave you to it, Twitch. I've got a game to cast. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Some sort of technical problems. But in the meantime, let's get back to the game. Who do you think has been the MVP so far for Cambridge?
For Cambridge, I think game 1 MVP needs to go to Mesneric.
Yeah.
On the Aurelia, he carried the team, in my opinion. And in the second game, I'm not really too sure, because everyone sort of did their role. I guess Quad Cannon did try to pick up the scraps to bring Cambridge back into the game.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't think anyone really performed as best as they could.
I think especially, it's the top lane is all important for both teams. The impact differing from game 1 to game 2 from Masnari was huge. He was completely shut out of that game by Clymore. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a lot more. Largely the junglers left that top lane alone. And you think, Gragas has got a big early gank advantage over Zach. I would not be surprised at all if we see him showing up a lot more there in that top lane just to try and stop the Hecarim going nuts again.
Yep.
And same for Subfast, to be honest. I think he's got to show up a lot in top lane because Masneric, as we've seen, if he gets ahead on that Aurelia, can get really ahead on that Aurelia. So overall, I think we're going to see a lot of jungle action top lane. possibly even mid-range to the top lane as well, which obviously is not the usual direction. There might be a bit of like a topsy-turvy game, or even a lane swap to stop either top laner getting too fed would be the best option. And in a lane swap, who do you think would fare better?
In a lane swap, I think it's going to be advantageous for the Kalista Nami lane,
Yep.
but I think it just depends on how well the top laner can control the lane swap. So
And
think the
I
focus
know
has to
Claymore
be-
doesn't perhaps have that much experience in the lane swap, even though Hecarim, on paper, he's got better sustain than Aurelia. She can't do anything until level 6,
Yeah.
the Transcendent Blades. And, maybe that actually goes in favour of... otherwise goes in favour of Hecarim, but with the experience that Masnarek has playing in the lane swaps on the Cambridge North side, maybe that actually goes his way.
Yep. So that's something to look out for. But I am a little bit skeptical on whether there will be a lane swap. I'm pretty sure there will be just standard lanes, 2v2 bottom lane.
Claymore was so close to taking that lane. He did indeed take it in kills early, but spent too much time out of the lane and then got behind on farm in the top lane. He absolutely ran all over it second game. I agree with you. I don't think the lane swap is necessary here. I think, if you're Oxford, you're quite comfortable with Claymore taking on Masnarek because largely he's at the better of it.
Yeah. So yeah, the first game was indeed it was the teleport to the bottom lane, which caused the top lane to just snow out of control. And Aurelia was 30 CS up by the time Macron got back to the top lane, so it wasn't a very fair matchup in terms of skill.
Yeah.
So
And in terms of these picks and bans from Oxford, I like how they've taken bits of what's succeeded for them across the series, right, and then they're trying to shake up what hasn't to craft this new mid-game focused team comp. What build do you think Deviri is gonna head for on the Kalista? Because there's quite a lot of options at the moment with that champion, like more so than usually with an ADC.
I think he's going to have to go pick up a defensive item relatively quickly due to the Annie and the Mauser available.
The QSS maybe.
The QSS maybe,
I'm just
guess
going
it-
to the game and see if I've got any messages, by the way.
I guess that just depends on how well the bottom lane turns out.
Yes, I think there is going to be a remake coming through, so I imagine we're going to have the same picks and bans, and we're just going to try and get into that as quickly as possible. So, in the meantime, join. Okay, and we are ready to get started. Pretty much. They're going to fly through the picks and bans very quickly, and as we had some trouble getting up on the stream last time, we'll just leave it with us for the moment until that's loaded in and the spectator lane is gone. You can enjoy our beautiful faces for one last time before we depart the desk to make way for the Dota later on. Dota? Did someone say Dota? I think the Dota players may want to get on, and it is nearly 6 o'clock. We're quite behind schedule, so hopefully there'll be some time saved there, because currently all of the 5v5s have gone to all the full 3 maps.
Yes, they have.
In the case of the CSGO, except the first map, took quite a lot of rounds. The
Yes.
Sponges up a good time. We've had 2 good 40-minute slugfests here. Maybe there's a big Millennium game coming out, and hopefully they should get through these picks and bans very quickly. Dignitas Oddi, is that actually... is that actually someone from Dignitas? I don't know. This isn't my account. I'm just pretending to be Holmesy for now. But you all know the truth. I am in fact Scribe. Scribe is my CS:GO username, and I'm actually using it instead of my my typical username, which is so incredibly bad I can't say it on stream. There might be somewhere I can type it for you and the lovely people in the room, just so that you can grasp just how ineffably shit this username is, which I devised a long time ago and for some reason hung with for a very long time. Oh, I have another friend listening to the stream from home. That's pretty cool. It's not actually pretty cool. It's probably social suicide, but these people know my game and by now have dealt with it.
We're all proud to be here. We're all very proud to be here.
I'll be prouder if it was less cripplingly uncool.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, and they are. The same picks are coming through. Quad Cannon still on the Annie. Maybe they're going through exactly the same picks and bans and then making the swaps rather than just picking their champions. Fair enough, I guess, do it by the book, but it's just going to slow them down a bit. So, you competed in the StarCraft today.
Yep.
You've spectated the LoL. You're now on the caster desk for the LoL. Made it here at the last minute when Holmesy had to dash off. What have you made of the day?
So they started off. It started off relatively well, and then
All hell broke loose.
due to the technical difficulties, it hasn't gone as planned. But I think we're doing a good job salvaging it. At least I hope so.
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah, I'm running out of banter. You know, the low points included the discussion of swag tortoises this morning, when literally nothing was happening and they logged out of the server for 30 minutes. But you know, hey, eventually we got back to the game, and we also had a fascinating discussion on the provenance and location of swag tortoises. So everyone gained.
Fantastic.
And what's better, I didn't see Twitch chat, so I didn't know just how much they think. No one was listening anyway. You know, but about anything. Baz had me covered. Was willing to indulge me on my flights of surreal fancy. Luckily, I'm not going nuts this game, so well, it shouldn't be required. And Icefly is just going to hover on the Ashe here, which you can't see, but he's just going to troll them briefly. I do not think he's going to suddenly pick a support Ashe. This time there is a Fizz, though, coming through from Akawan. So there is a bit of a change here, and actually they've changed it up to a mid-Fizz. And I'm not sure Oxford are going to be terribly happy with this. Yep. Ashe, it turns out, was a placeholder for Nautilus, so they've reacted to the Fizz pick with a support Nautilus. And I don't know anything about Icefly's Nautilus, but this is a champion that's super good in the current meta, right?
Yep. So Nautilus support has been seen extremely often, and
Even Nautilus top in the OGN.
Yes.
Shy likes to play it, but not with too much success.
Not too much success at all. The days of Frost being top of the world are long behind us.
Don't say it. No, I think Lustboy would agree with you. Yeah,
It is unfortunate.
There was a placeholder, boys. They're confused why Deviri. They DC'd at third pick. So that's why the different picks came through. It wasn't Cambridge attempting to cheat and modify the picks. They DC'd at the third pick. And then so the last pick was actually a random pick. So
It's a fairly convincing
after the third pick, both teams are now changing, or said that they can change their picks. As it was, the picks and bans that went through just before that were actually valid. So we've now got a Nautilus pick. Gragas Fizz in the mid lane. It looks like it might be Nautilus jungle.
It's definitely a Nautilus jungle.
Well, the champion with the worst base attack speed in the game in the jungle. What do you think about this pick, Halide?
Don't think I've seen Nautilus jungle ever. Ever.
A couple of times in solo queue, maybe. I mean, he does have a vast arsenal of CC, brings a lot to the team fight, and really, really loves that Cinderhulk enchantment. On the other hand, does he have a jungle clear? Not really.
I don't think he can full clear before going back, even with the perfect masteries or
I mean,
and rings.
is he running full attack speeds? Because I can't see any other way that he'd survive in the jungle. The attack speed, it's not just the speed as well, the animation is enormous.
Maybe he'll go for the Gromp and then both buffs. And then
He's
go
going to
back.
need a huge leash, right?
Yeah, he must do. There's no
Probably
no other way.
smiteless, actually, on the first one, which is going to put the Callista Nami behind the Sivarani, which is already a strong early lane.
Yep.
I'm not sure what I think about this. I'm perhaps not a fan of this sudden new pick from Oxford. I think they were better off with the Zac. I know Zac is a comfortable pick for Subfast. It's his next favourite jungler after Nunu. That's definitely what they should have hung on. And instead they've gone for a somewhat inexplicable Nautilus.
And both first and the second game, especially in the second game, it was the jungler who was able to counter jungle, and it was the jungler who was able to guarantee that dragon.
Exactly, they had the mobility of Nunu to get those wards everywhere, to steal. He did a 3 buff start, he got another buff for himself later on, was taking wards left, right and centre, and he had a really massive impact on that game, so big that they banned him. And now you trade that for a champion with the terrible movement speed, terrible auto attack speed, lots of CC, yes, but he's not going to be able to do anything until a few levels in. He can't even really. The big problem with Jungle Nautilus, of course, is how you apply that CC during ganks. There's no way that you can close in.
Yep, and against in a late
Until
game
level
teamfight-
6.
Until in a late game teamfight scenario, there's the Sivir which can use the ultimate to use the mana shield, spell shield to
And of course, it's one of the most easily, depth charge is one of the most easily spell shielded abilities in the game. You have so much, you can have the reaction speeds of a potato and you can spell shield that one out. And Carniflex is actually pretty nifty with the spell shields. So they're going to have to try and bait, maybe get a bubble stun to bait that spell shield out. But unless they're timing the cooldown of it, which is, is difficult, something even advanced teams cock up. And how is this going to come out from a team which is essentially cobbled together from solo queue and just practiced together a few days?
I'm a little bit skeptical on that pick because
I think either it's going to be awful or it's going to bust the game wide open and Subfusk will be MVP.
Yep. Both dealers have a way to mitigate this ultimate. So I'm not entirely sure who this ultimate will be going towards. But if Trickster and Mana Shield are both
down,
then I guess
in the team fights, Fizz is going to be looking to be using the Trickster for damage rather than just CC mitigation, and forcing out the CC mitigation is a win. I just really can't see how this Nautilus is going to work out. We were saying before, how they'd taken the best of what had worked in their previous games and they'd switched it up for something that they were comfortable playing with, was likely to give some success instead. And then they picked the Nautilus.
But they still have the Hecarim Orianna to...
Subfusk might be a great Nautilus, I don't know. But talking to me on the coach, he said, I play Nunu, when Nunu's banned, I play Zac. He didn't say, sometimes I like to surprise them with a Nautilus.
Maybe if this was a surprise tactic, I'm sure he hit it even from you.
With the remakes, it might be a surprise tactic, but the Fizz was a reasonably good adaptation, even though, I wouldn't have gone through with that pick, to be honest. I would have stuck with the Zac.
I think Zac,
the mobility, the CC, the Cinderhawk synergy.
The Cinderhawk and the Orianna synergy.
And he's been such a good jungler for Reignover in the LCS with Fnatic, who we compared Oxford Team to because of their reliance on that carry top laner. Even on Hecarim, which has now become one of Huni's signature champions. Yep. So if it works for them and the way their team is constructed, so similar to Oxford, you have to think it probably it had a chance of working. Obviously, the players have got to execute it. They're not Fnatic's players, sadly, as much as I would love Fnatic to come up here, don an Oxford hoodie, and leap into game for us. We're now finally into the loading screen, so we're going to hop over there. Hopefully, no more technical difficulties, because I think I would probably lose it. That screen's still black.